Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, we're going to be doing a stream today. We've got a ton to talk about. Yeah, can't wait for everyone to get stuck into all this content because, yeah, we've definitely got some stuff to talk about, especially with the Butters information and, what does it mean for the future. I'm sure we'll definitely get into that. So yeah, make sure to stick around for all that content. And yeah, I'll start with doing a few intros. We've got Matt from the Warble. Matt, how are you doing?
G'day, Sean. Good, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And then we've also got Age on as well. Age, how are you going?
I'm going great, lads. I'm going great. Sean, how are we both?
Awesome, mate.
Going pretty
Yourself?
good.
Yeah, really good. Just been bloody busy the last couple of weeks. I've sort of been out of the scene a little bit, just really busy working, but I've made a comeback on a good day with lots to talk about. So, yeah.
Really. So do we just want to just dive in? This, normally these topics we normally shove them to the back because it's they tend to get the prime time spot. Do we just want to just go straight into it and we'll just get yeah, let's not worry about putting it to the back. We'll just put it out to the front. We'll just get it out in the open.
Sounds
Cool.
good, Shawnee.
All right, so elephant in the room right now is obviously Zach Butters. So I think we'll just obviously go over just what's been confirmed. Obviously he has been confirmed to wanting to come back to Victoria. So yeah, that's been something that's been no really surprise to anybody. And yeah, so yeah, we'll obviously get stuck into all that. And the other thing we'll also mention before I forget, the main part of it is that there was 4 clubs that he was thinking of going to, and he's ruled one out. And the one he's ruled out is Collingwood. First of all, we'll just get out all of our thoughts on, us leaving out Collingwood. How do we think about it? Do we like it? Do we not like it? What's our overall thoughts?
I can go first. All
Sure.
right. So, 4th of 4, we get no medal for that, do we? Now, at the end of the day, we all knew that it was a long shot that he was going to come to Collingwood. However, the fact that he's knocked out Collingwood the same day he told Port he was leaving back to Victoria is just, it's very funny, isn't it? It makes us look like complete fools. It makes our club look like not an attractive option at all. Look, this is the thing. I actually don't mind it because there'd be supporters out there that would have been convinced in their hearts that Zach Butters was going to choose us, right? And the fact that he's ruled us out the same day he told Port he was leaving tells us we were nowhere near him wanting to come to us. Right. So then you've got to explore, okay, what are the reasons why? And there could be a million reasons why, and I'd love to get into all of them tonight. But I actually see it as a positive. I would have hated if we were down to the wire and it was neck and neck and we just lost out, because then would have given people like this false sense of, we're this really attractive destination club. But the reality is we haven't landed a big fish in bloody 20 years since bloody Buckley. Who's the last big fish we've landed? Seriously. So there's something fundamental at the club where we can't attract talent. And we keep saying we want to be like Geelong. You look at the list of acquisitions Geelong have gotten, and they'll probably add Butters to that list. You compare that acquisition list to what we've been able to attract to our club, and it's laughable. So, what's going on in our club? Why aren't we an attractive option? There's going to be a million reasons, and I'd love to talk about it tonight. So, Maddie, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it was it's Goat in the chat here. Hey, how you going, Goat? I'm agreeing with what he's saying. Butters and Josh Carr and Port, they have done this to single out. I've never heard of a situation where there's all these clubs in the race for a player, and they single out one club and say, "Well, it's not you." And then there's 3 clubs left in the hunt. That the free agent will choose a club, and then bad luck doggies, bad luck tigers, bad luck pies. He's going to the Cats. they've singled us out to embarrass us, to show. So I don't know whether it was Craig Kelly's comments or whether Butters and Port are keeping an eye on how Fly, Barry Karp, the president, and Lepper are all not on the same page. Butters is a footy nuffer. He's watching that McRae on AFL 360 and hearing him put Lepper under the bus. Right? Yeah, going back and said he never said that he wanted players and not picks. Absolute lie. And said that he never said that and put Lepper under the bus. And now just recently, this Barry Karp character, the president, has said that Scott Pendlebury will decide if he goes on next year. That's bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the list manager was in charge of who's going to play for us next year. As far as I knew, he hadn't been offered a contract. Now, isn't it the list? Shouldn't the club be saying, well, it's the list management who is in charge? Wouldn't that be the way to answer it? So he's either lying about that or he's not giving Justin Leppich any respect whatsoever. Now, Butters came to Collingwood and Geelong on the weekend, did he not, to do interviews?
Yeah, there was reports media that he was going to do it in the coming days.
Yeah, so he came to meet Geelong and Collingwood. Has something happened in that meeting to make him be totally turned off? It's just absolutely bizarre.
I was sort of
so embarrassing for the club.
I was sort of the impression that he was going to meet with Geelong in the coming days, and that was yesterday. That report was coming out. So if we're going to take the media as truth, that basically means that he was going to see Geelong sometime this week. But the fact that we've already been ruled out, and to my knowledge, I believe he hasn't even met with Geelong yet. So, or at least in some official capacity. So the fact that he hasn't even seen Geelong, but yet he's already ruled us out, I would consider that as a big flag to wave to go, hey, why is someone like a Butters, claiming to, have or to show some interest in Geelong when we've been sort of one of the teams to be around, but then there's we're ruled out, and it's like he hasn't even seen anything about Geelong yet.
Void is saying that he's met Geelong. So the only reason you can think of is that he doesn't want to play. There's someone in the side he doesn't like, or he doesn't want to play under Fly. One of my concerns would be is that he's obviously still mates with Dan Houston, and Dan Houston you wouldn't think would be too complimentary about his experience under Craig McRae. And I'm not saying that Houston is exonerated from his responsibility of not playing good football, but it's not all on Dan Houston. He obviously doesn't fit into our system and doesn't fit into the coaching capabilities of McRae, so that's clear. And maybe he's been on the text saying, "Don't come here. This guy's an idiot." Who knows? We don't know. But what other reason would he not come here? Actually, Anthony B had a good reason, and I've heard this on social also a couple of times today. Is the other reason he didn't want to come to Collingwood is he would not be the number one on ball. He's the type of guy who wants to be the main man, the best guy on the side. He would have been the best guy on the side in every footy team he's ever played in, right? I don't know if I buy into that. It's something the club has done or said that has caused him to want to embarrass us, to make us look like Age just said, to make us look like absolute fools.
The other thing to consider as well is
you go, Age. I was only just going to agree with what.
Yeah, no worries. The other thing I've lost what I was going to say now. Oh, the other thing to consider now is perhaps if you're looking at like Zach Butters, all right, just put yourself in Zach Butters' shoes, and he's choosing between those four clubs. Maybe we're just not that attractive an option right now. That's the other thing to consider, because so us, especially in our little faction of the community, we're very much like expose the list and give some guys opportunities, right? Perhaps if we had exposed more of the list and given some more guys some opportunities, Zach Butters might have turned around and said, "Oh, I can see a direction where this club's going and whatnot." Don't be surprised if he just looks at our list and he thinks, "Nah, that's washed. Like I know that's probably on the downward spiral. Nah, all the other clubs have
Yep.
probably got potential to stay up or go up. Definitely
Yep.
Richmond, if they get the right acquisitions, they'll shoot up. You know, Geelong are always thereabouts, and Footscray are one of those teams that seems to hang around a bit like us. They just always sort of hang around. We've more recently we've been better than they have, but maybe they're one or two players away from really competing. Maybe he just looks at us and he just thinks, you know what, that list is washed, and they haven't turned over the list enough. They haven't, you know, it could just be something as little as that. And to be honest, I wouldn't blame him, even though we think we've got some young guys there that can push us forward. From an outsider perspective, I've got no doubt that a guy like him probably looks at our list and is probably a little bit concerned that am I going to go there and I'm going to be a Tim Taranto or Jacob Hopper, where the arse just falls out the next year, and then I'm stuck there for 5 years and I've got to grind away before I might see any potential improvement. Don't be surprised, because again, if we were in a better position as a club, so instead of finishing 9th, we finished 6th, for example, does that make us a more attractive proposition? Of course it does. But the fact that we're finished 9th and there's a good chance we're going to get bundled out this week, you know what? For a guy coming from another club, you might just think, nah, I don't want to be in a mediocre side. As much as he'd make us better, perhaps it's just simple as that.
Yeah, I mean that's actually like, because I mean in terms of that, like I straight away go, okay, well, what are some of the things that Butters is hearing? Because you know, with what you were just saying, just then, age, like it's sort of given me the indication that okay, maybe Butters is watching all these like media shows, and you know, he's hearing Kane Corns and how he goes, oh, Collingwood just don't have the kids. And I mean, I even watched. There's like a video out there where Corns was talking to all the AFL YouTubers from, you know, selective sort of clubs and stuff. And, you know, he was the whole entire video, or one, not the whole entire video, but there was at least a good maybe 3 or 4 jabs where Corns would literally say, oh, well, Collingwood have no kids, or, you know, he would talk about a certain club and it's like, oh, well, at least you're not Collingwood and you have no kids. So I'm sort of the belief that okay, with what we know about Butters and how he's not coming, what sort of information is he sort of hearing? You know, like is it a thing of like maybe he's listening to Kane Corns? I mean, he'll probably be around Kane a little bit, given that you know he's been a Port Adelaide player. Not to say that he'll be accepting every single word from Kane. I'm sure there's times he won't always agree with him, but again, I'm sort of looking at it from a perspective of, which again, it comes down to us as a football club, the fact that we have had the opportunity to play these kids and to show how good they are. Again, it comes down to the club, comes down to Fly, but it's also you kind of can't blame them when we have such a team that has these kids, but they're not being played. Like, how can you? You know, because yeah, there is a part of like even for me, I watch the VFL, I watch the development of some of the players coming through, and I can indicate, yeah, that guy future, okay, that guy might struggle, but it's you're already so far down the rabbit hole just off the back of just watching like the VFL. So when players are not going to go so far down the rabbit hole and go, oh well, this is what Collingwood are about, this is Collingwood as a whole, but you're not going to go deep diving into the rabbit hole, you are going to think that you know everything and you're going to go, well, Collingwood just have no kids because we haven't seen them at senior level. When, I know I've been one of the main ones that have been banging down the door for years saying, no, these kids have talents, but you need a pathway to showcase that these kids have talent. I can guarantee you that there'll be, players in the AFL, like top end players that would be thinking, okay, maybe I might go to this club, maybe I might go to that club. They won't know who the hell Ed Allen is. you know, and even some of our own supporters probably didn't. I mean, they knew the name of Ed Allen, but they're probably like, yeah, Ed Allen's probably that fringe player that probably isn't going to make it because he's just not good enough. Ed Allen's like basically a premium midfielder at this point, you know, or at least he's progressing to be a premium midfielder, you know.
Mm.
So I'm looking at that. It's like, yeah, like the club's like not doing enough to even sell itself. So as much as you know, we can go, oh, it sucks to get Zach Butters and all that stuff, but again, it's we're also not advertising ourselves enough to where we are attractive enough. It's yeah, it just puts us in that really awkward position because it's this club is great. It can be it can be a very strong club for now and the future, but when you're not showcasing your best talents, like how can if someone's only going to see you for so much, how can you show your best traits when your best traits aren't.
You there, Sean?
Yeah, no, like I finished my point.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to this point that Anthony put on in the chat earlier. Matt, I know it was a dead rubber, but I feel the Lions debacle was a nail in the coffin. You know what? You could be right. It's come pretty swiftly, the decision after that game. Out of all the fuck-ups and dumb things Fly has ever done, there's a lot in this, but to go and play a full-strength side in a dead rubber, like you call it, Anthony, but then not try to concede 160 points and let ourselves get absolutely smashed by someone we may, if we get on a bit of a roll, unlikely, but we win a couple of finals, 2 or 3 finals, we could end up facing a team like the Lions. Now, if we're coming up like a good team like Hawthorn or Geelong or the Lions or Freo, what chance have we got with that performance? Like, he had a chance to rest players. He had a chance to rest Pendlebury. He had a chance to rest Cameron. He had a chance to rest Nick Dacos and others, Crisp, Sidebottom. The list goes on. We didn't need those players. And you know what? Like has been going on every time we have injuries and we get a lot more new players into the side, we play better anyway.
Yep.
So when did we banged on 7 goals when all of our so-called best players were off the ground?
Just crazy.
Look what happened to Sydney. What did Sydney do yesterday? Oh, they're going to just collapse. They've lost their 5 best players. What an awesome performance they put in. Oh, how did they do that? They didn't have their 5 best players on the field. It's amazing. No, they got a few kids in who are absolutely desperate in the last game before finals, and well-run football department played very well. And look what Collingwood put out there on Friday. Absolute disgrace. The hits just keep coming with Craig McRae. He's an absolute goose.
Where are the inflowy trust swords tonight? I would love to hear him. This last week, I would love to hear him. He's played a disgraceful team against Brisbane. They got pumped in a dead rubber, and now the club misses out on an acquisition that could have set us forward for the next 10 years. Where are they? I want to hear them. Oh, and chuck in there as well the Houston news. They were defending Houston all fucking year, and now he's going to be out the door. Where are all these people that just defend all these decisions from the club until they're going to defend them until the front line and they get turned into Swiss cheese, mate? Just fucking accept that where the club is right now, it is not in. I won't say it's in a bad spot, but it's nowhere near in the position it should be if it was run correctly at the start of this year. This year has been a complete and utter fucking disaster from start to finish. And even though I want to win every fucking game from here and win the premiership, I also cannot wait for this season to be fucking over. This has been, I've watched Collingwood properly for 30 years. I think this is the most disgraceful year we have put together as a football club. And in that 30 years includes a fucking wooden spoon. But I think we had better direction then. The way the club has operated this year, the way they have developed kids, the way they have the acquisitions, the fucking players they get in that do nothing, like your Bullers of the world, that they over fucking pay for. That this year of Collingwood, regardless of the only saving grace now is winning a fucking premiership from here. This has been the worst year of supporting Collingwood in my 30 years. And I've never
Wow.
been more concerned. I've never been more concerned about the direction of the club as I am right now. Never been more concerned.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Not good.
But also as well, and again, like you touch on like the Brisbane game, I'd be really
Fuck.
curious to know
Imagine
how
that.
much they even played a factor.
Imagine if we don't
Yeah,
get. Sorry to
or
interrupt
even-
there. Just saw Mark's comment. Imagine if we don't get Neil.
Yeah, if Neil goes to like, you know, or like if he takes the money at West Coast even.
But imagine if Neil ends up at Geelong and they get Neil and Butters.
That'll be
I
the
can see
cherry
that
on
happening.
top. That'll be the
You know
cherry
what?
on
If that
top.
actually happens, that might be pretty close to me just switching off football.
Good point, Nick.
And I'll
Kelly
probably
jumping
never.
ship.
I'll probably yeah. And if Kelly jumps ship, that'll be the nail in the coffin. And I won't be putting another single dollar into this again. Maybe not ever again, but until they can actually show that we're actually a serious football club, because you can't. And that's the thing. Even when I've even said that this season's been a fair shot. Like when you have excuses of but we've had injuries, and even just the injuries point of view, like every club has injuries. Let's not lower ourselves to where that's the excuses we're gonna put out there.
We were losing
And that's the
before
thing.
we had
I don't
fucking
mind
injuries,
being.
Sean. We were losing before we had
Oh
fucking
yeah,
injuries,
absolutely.
and these people are using injuries as an excuse. We were fucking losing
Yeah.
when we had a full list to choose from, mate.
Yeah, but it's also even playing guys that were also underdone. Okay, if you're going to complain about the injuries, well, then complain about us rushing back Darcy Moore. Complain about us rushing back, X, Y, and Z player. There's so many issues inside this football club at the moment. It's like, yeah, you don't even like as much as I sat here and I'm sort of like, I'm kind of glad we didn't get Butters, because it means we can space our money elsewhere. Like I've been on the heels of like a Jake Riccardi for a few weeks now. I'd love to go get him. We now have the money to potentially go get a Jake Riccardi. But in saying that, I just feel like everything inside of our football club right now, it's just not a well oiled machine right now. Like it's just not. Like like how are we going to get into being this contending club, and if we're going to be this team where we're just going to be around the 6, 7, 8. Like I don't mind being that team where we make a prelim every year, because I feel like making a prelim is definitely different, because at least you're giving yourselves a chance, and then you can then market yourselves in free agency and be, hey Butters, hey Neil, hey X, Y, and Z player, come over to us, because all we need is one or two more pieces, and you guys are it. So I don't mind it to that extent, because I think free agency opens things like that up. The fact that we're not that team. Like we're playing finals and we finished 9th this year. Like let that sink in. Like over the previous, and I think I can't remember who mentioned it in terms of over the past 20 years. Over the last 20 years, we have been a very like successful side in the sense of I want to say we've probably made a prelim one in every 3 years, if not less.
Yeah.
This is like, and again, it's like I can, even though I will never accept it, but I can at least cop being at least making a prelim, because again, you go to the trade period, you could even potentially go to the draft, because you never know, you can always get a swaddling, or there's always a potential of a swaddling coming. not saying that it's guaranteed, but there's always the potential of it. But you can go and get your Butters and your Neil at trade time and through free agency. Like, but as long as you make that prelim, you're always so close to winning the flag. You just got to make that right call. Because you guys know with me, I've even got it in my profile picture. Like, I'm here to win flag. I'm not here to win one. I'm not here to. I'm here about. I want to win dynasties. I don't even want to even entertain being a team in the bottom four. Like, because all that. I just want that into this club. But I think you can reasonably compete in the top four. You know, say 6 out of maybe 9 to 10, like, well, 8 to 9 years. You can do that where you can make prelims every year and contend for a flag, and you know yeah, each year you try and get better and better through the off season. Like, that is possible. But yeah, when you have the club running as much as it is now, it just shows you where we're at. And again, it's like we're not even putting our best foot forward, and that's the thing that sucks the most. It's not again, you can be a team that's in the bottom six and you go, okay, we're a bottom six team because we're just that bad. We are a contending team and we finished ninth. And that's what people are not like understanding, is that this is a team to win flags. If you don't think this list can win a flag, then I don't know what to tell you. Even in the off season when you had so many people be, oh, this is a wild card team, blah blah. Like, you're only doing that because you're just expecting to be bad because you're buying into the narratives. Oh, we've got an aging list, we've got this, we've got that. Our list didn't change, but we made a prelim. And if only it didn't change, but we also, because we obviously got rid of guys like Tom Mitchell, we got rid of guys like Mason Cox. From a talent perspective, we didn't really lose anybody.
We
But
gained,
then we
mate.
gained an Oscar Steen,
gained with
but
all
we
these
gained a
kids.
Swaddling. We gained
Yeah.
so, like, you could even argue we gained Ed Allen.
Yeah, we did.
Like Ed Allen wasn't doing anything close to what he was doing in the previous seasons. So this whole narrative of, oh, we're this team that's like, ninth or 10th, and we're a team that's lucky to be the wild card. I'm not buying that narrative. Because if that narrative is worth buying, then why the hell did we make a prelim last year?
We should have gone. We finished top 4, right? We should have finished top 2 because we ended up essentially adding Allen. West should have, like Nick said, West should have played earlier in the year, all year. Swads, Anderson, Oscar Steen. They are 5 really good additions. Some of them are on our list already, apart from Swadling and Anderson. That should take us up by 4 places, not drop us down the ladder by 5 places. And all of these idiots saying, oh, but we've had injuries. Every time we've had injuries, the more injuries we have, the better we play. Our 2 best games against Sydney had the most young guys. The second most. The most young guys we had was against Hawthorn the other day. And they're our 2 best performances. So it's injuries. It's injury. Heck, we all had all these injuries. Everyone has injuries. And they've got pretty bad in recent weeks. But the more injuries we had, the more chances of young guys. And it's proven. We've proven McRae wrong. And because he said recently that he didn't give the young kids a game because he didn't trust they'd be able to play in our system. He was wrong. And he's cost us top 4 because he didn't trust the kids like we did. We knew he had good kids.
Yeah.
Fly probably knows.
Well, again, it comes down to, back in January, February, around about January, February, and yes, I'm going to mention this because it needs to be said, like, there wasn't really anyone talking up Swaddling, but then it might have been more February than January. In February, I made the take that Swaddling was going to be he was going to be in the same conversation as Buckley and Patrick Dangerfield. At the time, everyone thought I was crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy with that. And have a look at him now. Yes, he's got a bit to go into Dangerfield. But again, it's like if you're not going to be if you're not going to be giving these guys these opportunities to at least have a crack, and even if they fail, that's still a part of the process, you know. And then at least you're coming up against actual quality opposition, and then it's okay. Your deficiencies are this, this, and this. We're going to put you in the VFL now because we've given you 4, 5, 6 games. You need to improve these things. We're going to take you, like, we're going to put you back in the VFL because it's more the fact of like you need to give the kids a reason to be like, okay, I'm being backed in, but I'm just not good enough yet. That's so much like that's so much better than just having to be in the VFL and just rot there and stay there. You know, because it's the club showing the intent. Okay, no, we actually want to give you games, but we're not going to give you games if you're not up to the standard yet. So there's a big difference in wanting to play them and then they have to be dropped in like in the next like few weeks after because they're not ready, than just having them play the whole season in the VFL. Yeah, I mean,
Been
like
a
there's
cock up
plenty
from the
plenty
start.
of examples. Yeah,
Been a cock up from the start, mate. All right. Like I said, I referenced what I said before. This has been a disgraceful season from start to finish, week after week after week. There's only been a handful of times where we've said, "Yeah, that's great. That's actually, yep, okay, selection's been good or whatever." It has been the only thing I can pat him on the back for this year is playing Steen as early as he did. That is the only thing, and it was due to the rule change. Steen would not have played if there was no rule change. Chat, everyone listening back at this, Oscar Steen would not have played this year if it wasn't for the rule change. I promise you. So, can we even give him a tick for that? Give him a half tick. Other than that, everything else has been an utter fucking disaster from start to finish, okay? And a few of the people in the comments have, it's good that everyone here is on the same page as us because I actually want someone to challenge us because I'm ready to take people down now come the end of the year because there's a lot of people out there that have been patting him on the back and the, as we say, the in fly we trust mob. Where are they? Where are you?
yeah.
Where are you all? Show yourselves.
Yeah, especially as well when you talk about like Stan and stuff. Like, there's been no one that's been more hyped on. I was saying last season that he was better than Mason Cox, that he needs to get a game over Cox, and that we're basically like we're just delaying the inevitable of Oscar Steen, the ruckman that's going to overtake Cox and be the future of this football club. Again, like I was absolute like, you know, the amount of people that would just completely disagree, and it's like, oh, but if he hasn't played a senior game yet, oh, there must be a reason for it, or you know, oh, but Mason Cox is so important to the structure. And even though some of it was like right in terms of Cox was important to the structure, but you cannot tell me that, you know, Cox was this like amazing talent that we had in the team. Where Steen is just as important to the structure, but he's also got talent, you know? So yeah, and then obviously like he ended up playing, and that's the thing, like I'm even looking at even like when players play their first game and they come out and, you know, and when I say this in terms of a standard of what you would expect for a first gamer. They're basically coming and starring in their first game for a first game standard type of game.
Yep.
If we're doing that, then that means that we have delayed their progress in terms of when they're actually playing. Like you know, like the fact that they're coming in off the bat and they're just starring straight away. And when I'm saying star, I'm not saying he's like Nick Dacos and whatever, getting 35, 40 disposals. But I'm saying like in terms of the role, like if they play their first game, but they're playing like their, you know, 150 gamer, 200 gamer, unless it's their first year and it's like inside of say round 10, that is, and actually no, even less, even if it's like the first 5 rounds in, if that player is not in the side, especially when you have the spots to give or spots in the best 23 to give, which we definitely have, um, it's yeah, oh, it's absolutely like a, yeah, it's absolutely a joke. The fact that that we have. Yeah, we literally have guys coming in, and again, you see this player playing well, and it's obviously no slight on the player themselves, but the fact that people aren't looking at this and going, "Hey, maybe the coaching staff and maybe like the people at the club, maybe like we've actually had this kid on the list, and he's been good for a month, 2 months, 3 months, last season even." This is something that we like. We need to like look at this from a critical eye because we're just not playing these guys when they are. And it's not even as like you don't even play these kids when they're ready. You play these kids when you see something. Because the second you see something, play them, especially when there's a position, because one kid or two kids, that's not going to lose you the game. No, there's no one or two kid combo you can put into the seniors where that will solely lose you the game because there will be mistakes from other players of the other. If there's two kids, there's going to be out of the 21 other players on in that team, they are going to make enough mistakes to where they're going to be included in the loss as well. Like it's just, yeah, that's where I'm sort of like lost in terms of all that because, um, yeah, if you're seeing these kids starring, it's not because oh we've like found someone and oh they've just automatically popped up. It's because they've been good for a while and we've just taken so long with their development that and again, like it would be fine if we were winning every week and we had a run in of like a similar run in 23. Okay, that's fine because there was probably no spots to give up, even though there probably would have been. But again, it's selection integrity. It's putting certain players' feet to the fire to go, hey, if you're not performing, we've got X, Y, and Z player in the VFL playing extremely well, and they want your spot. But we seem to give uh, job security to way too many people in this team, and it just shows like they literally just do not play with much fire. They don't play with much passion, and it's those are the reasons why we are not like, especially this year. If we find a way to even contend for a flag this year, I mean, I'll be very, very surprised. But that's not because these guys aren't good enough. It's because we aren't setting the right things in place to win a flag.
Then they're not being set up to succeed, which Fly stopped saying about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Funny that, isn't it? Very
Yeah.
funny. See,
'Cause
the
he does
thing with
the opposite.
Fly, which, and now this is your delusional fan. I'm gonna step in the shoes of the delusional fan. When they look at Fly, they see his game day, what he does with the 23 players on the field week in, week out. And he's a good coach in that aspect. Setting up for a team to challenge and compete and potentially win, he's a good coach. Everything outside of that, he's inept. He's not good enough. So your casual fan, like I always say, they don't give a shit about Monday to Friday. They tune in on the Saturday 2:10. They watch the game and they see a competitive Collingwood. And they think, oh, geez, this Fly's a good coach. But they have no consideration or thought about what the hardcore fans do, like us, Monday to Friday, looking at all the other happenings at the club, right? That's where it's been a disgrace. So where do we go to from here? We're going to have an off season where we don't even know if we're going to get Neil or not. Let's be honest. We honestly don't know. I keep getting told it's a done deal. I find it hard to believe, mate. I find it so hard to believe that that's just a fait accompli. I reckon there's more to play out there. And even if we are to get him in, he's on top dollar anyway. So it's like, well, are his motivations even right? So look, that's one thing. Let's put that to one side, however. But like I said, round zero next year, is he going to be again leaning if Pendlebury goes on? Is he going to play Pendlebury round zero next year? Yes. If he's on the list, of course he's going to play him. Is he going to prioritize any of these kids? No, because he hasn't done it for 2 years. Why would he all of a sudden change? Justin Lepich, right? Now, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. He had an interview with Trent Cotchin, and our list manager on that show, my jaw was on the
Who?
floor. So
Who was
Justin
it, H?
Lepage. Justin
Interviewed
Lepage,
by...
Trent Cotchin.
Okay.
Everyone in this chat, please go and
Yep.
listen to that after this or tomorrow or whenever you want to listen. Please go listen to that and be as astonished as I am from what he had to say about building the list and whatnot. Pretty much, so he just, I'm not going to misquote him, but one of the lines that he said something along the lines of, we're the normal thing that we do as Collingwood supporters, some of us, we're Collingwood and we've played finals 100 times in 140 years and that beating of the chest crap that we tend to lean on all the time when other clubs just laugh and they think, oh, okay, you can keep looking back to your fucking history. You keep looking back and we'll just fucking move forward with the times. No one gives a fuck about the historical successes. No one gives a shit. Zach Butters doesn't care that we fucking, were good in fucking 1950. It means nothing going forward. Lepage started to sound like what fucking Carlton supporters sound like when they talk about the good old fucking days. Don't worry about the good old days. Look fucking forward. Look at what Carlton did in one fucking season. Started as a shambles and they've ended as a top 4 fucking quality team. Why? Because they cut the shit out of their club and their list in one foul swoop. You're not playing. Josh Fraser goes in there. You're not playing anymore. You're not playing anymore. You're not playing anymore. I'm playing this kid. I'm playing this kid. Thanks, Adam Sard. Thanks, Zach Williams. Thank you for your service. Rot in the twos. This is what you have to fucking do as a club to move forward. Stop leaning on these blokes that have done it for us in the past, but they don't do it for us anymore. Round 0 next year, Fly. Are you going to change anything? No, you're not. You're in the exact same position Voss was in at the fucking end of last year. Right now, you're in the exact same spot where you were stubborn. You're going to lean on your same old fucking players that aren't getting it done. And you're going to go into next year the exact fucking same. And you're going to play the same blokes that are giving us nothing. And then you're going to eke out a few wins and you're going to be at like 5-5. And yeah, we've set our season up nicely and all this shit. The same shit we hear from you the last 2 years, and it's either going to fucking crash and burn or we're going to finish in the same position if nothing changes. So you're not fucking listening to this, and you'd be laughing your head off if you listened to me now. You'd say, look at this, listen to this clueless cunt. I tell you now, every fucking supporter, this started as like 5% of supporters at the start of this year. Right now, I reckon it's probably 30-40% of all the fucking supporters are starting to figure out that you're a fucking fraud.
Yeah. And a good sign, they're always about 12 months behind. But just like the media discovered only about 2 weeks ago that we've got good kids, literally 2 weeks ago, they didn't know. They're starting to discover that Fly can't coach as well. So I'm going to Sean, do you mind if I play a bit of Kingy from First Crack?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is David King the other night last night on First Crack.
Kingy, what is your first crack?
Drop pie for mine. I think the Collingwood Football Club have made a tremendous error by saddling all their players up on the weekend. We talked about it all week last week. In a meaningless game, in the end, Brisbane won by 10 goals plus.
Hear that okay?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Boys? Okay.
What's the point of playing everyone? And you look at the aim of the season is to finish as high as you possibly can. And once that point is known, which it was last week, then your next point of reference is to manage the list to be as healthy as it can be, to have as close to your best 23 out there for that final series, whether that starts in wildcard or whether that starts in the traditional finals campaign. I can't believe that Scotty Pendlebury was even out there. You know, and you talk about the history of this guy and what he's able to do, and he's still playing some reasonable football and does some things that create scores. And he did it again on the weekend. Like, these parts of play, just so calm, so composed, got them off to a good start.
Boom.
So this is before he went down early in the second term. So you're going to miss this. Now, this is going to be absolutely required in a World Cup. So this is why we're having these discussions. This is why these decisions, and everyone tells me, the players want to play. Well, you know what? You run the footy club, Craig McRae. You make these calls. We're making it for the betterment of the fan base. And
that's a key one. The players want to play. I've heard Fly say that and others. The players want to play. Too bad.
Members, we want to win the flag. Scotty Pendlebury would have had to have played 7 games in a row for them to win the premiership. They're not here to finish in a semi-final round. They're not here to finish prelim. They're trying to win it. All they're planning is about winning it. This year he's gone 3 games, out. 3 games, out. 1 game, out. 3 games, out. 1 game, out. 4 games, out. And then he plays 2 in a row. They had the chance to rest him, to get him on that 7 games. They've got a plan to be winning it. He was never going to survive that run. So I just think it's one of the poorer decisions I've seen. And I think that in the end, they knew it themselves. They got Dacos off the ground for pretty much the last quarter. Darcy Cameron the same. But then that exposed some others. So Frampton plays the whole, almost the whole game. And the others are taxed by those extra minutes. So I just think this will have an impact next weekend that it should never have had.
So where does the responsibility sit? Who are you pointing the finger at here? The player or the coach, the footy manager?
Well, the players have got to accept that if the coach comes to you and says, we don't want you to play, that's it.
You're saying Nick Dacos and co overruled Craig McRae?
I think they were asked their opinion and they said, we want to play. And I think that the club should have been stronger and said, you know what, our resources must go to wildcard over and above round 24.
Surely the coach has the final say.
You think the coach
Absolutely.
chose to play all those guys?
At what football club does the coach not make the shots? Or who's running the Collingwood Football Club?
Do you think Craig McRae made this calculated
Has to have.
risk?
Well, if he's not making those...
See, the penny is dropping for these guys.
Absolutely.
Kingy just can't believe it that Fly would be so fucking dumb of the strategy to play everyone when they didn't need to in a meaningless game. He just can't believe it.
It's crazy. Like I said, where are the Fly backers? Where are they in the chat? Please tell me, defend him, please. Or have you sided with? Are you starting to see what we see? Please, even if you're listening back for this on this tomorrow, drop a comment, please. Tell me what I'm wrong about. Tell us what we're wrong about. Why we're getting slammed at the start of the year as a group, as a faction of the Collingwood Army. Why we're getting slammed for these opinions that are now all of a sudden popular. Where are the Fly lovers? Tell us where we're wrong, please.
And for those people,
also-
one of the common themes is, oh, do you think you know more than Fly at selection? Oh, fancy yourself as a selection committee. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do know more.
Fucking look, especially with my track record, fucking absolutely.
Yeah, so
Like,
especially
especially with anything I've said, I mean, all you have to do is go back the last 12 to 18 months. And I think I've been absolutely spot on with a lot of the things that have happened within this club. So yeah, in terms of would we be better people to run the club? Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
So this is the
And
point.
I
This
think,
is what I'm saying.
in terms of the track record, I think the track record speaks for itself. Especially for someone like myself, where I am naming specific players through the VFL. These kids need an opportunity, and then when they get their opportunity, sometimes some of them don't have the best of starts, but then Fly only plays them for 3 games and then throws them back in the VFL. So okay, those ones are wrong, but again, if you're gonna back in these kids and play them for a longer period of time and give them the backing, give them the confidence. Pretty much, nearly every player we've actually done that to over a period of time have actually come good. Answer me that in terms of all the kids that we've played in recent history that have been given consistent games over a period of time. What one didn't succeed? But then we seem to like playing, a player here, a player there, like one in, one out. Maybe three in, and then straight out. Like it's just like, again, like, why can't we just have some risk at the club, and why can't we? And again, this is why I've been so fed up with Fly, having that saying of, having a ping at the stumps. Like, the Fly has never taken a ping at the stumps since the existence of him being at this club.
No,
But the
never,
fact the
not
fact that
once.
he's mentioning these things, it's actually insulting to us as a fan base, because we have to cop this dribble every single week about how Fly is this amazing person, how he takes the risk, and okay, yeah, it didn't come off, but at least we tried, at least we gave effort. We are the most safest football club of all time. Like, we are the like, even when it comes to like selection, like, we have the safest selections every single week. And I even brought it up, I think it was last week, that when the AFL came out and they said, "Oh, you better not be resting players. Do not be resting players." And then what do we do at selection? We went out of our way to not rest players.
The
Like,
most
this
important-
team needs, not this team, I misspoke there. This club needs a fucking backbone, because it just does not have one.
This just on that exact point, this comment from Mallow, this was the big one for me, apart from Pendles and giving a few others a rest. The decision to not give Harrison Coe a game, we could have a situation where DC goes down, and let's say it's elimination final or a semi-final, and we haven't given Harrison Coe one game to just see what he can do, give him a taste of it. I agree with Mallow here. This was the to not rest DC and give Harrison Coe a go on Friday night. That's the biggest one for me. We had to throw the young bloke. What's his name? Noah Howes. Noah Howes should have been played at the start of the year. Had a couple of chances and was ignored. And then we have to throw him in these really important games. Don't know what he can do.
Correct. He doesn't have the bloody support next to him. If you blood him when we've got a full complement and you're just going to give someone a rest, right? So Noah Howes plays 1 week for a Jeremy Howe, let's say. But you've got all the other defenders there to help chop him out. At least he knows, okay, all right. Yeah, he might not perform well, but okay, he's got support from those around him. But then you call on him in like round fucking 23 when the backline's decimated, and you say, "Good luck, buddy. Good luck." How do you think that's going to turn out? And to be honest, he did admirably. He played very admirably for a guy who's on debut and then butted up for his second game. Yeah, lot to work on, of course. However, given the situation, I spoke about this a month ago when he first got chosen. I said, how do you expect the kid to come out and perform when we're injury decimated and he's been given no fucking opportunity? Of course he's going to struggle. And that's similar to Puncher. And I know Puncher's also been admirable, and he got towed up by a very good forward line last week by the team that I think is probably the premiership fancy. However, it's the same sort of thing. What do you expect the kid to do? And this is what happens. The supporters then Puncher this, Puncher. No, they don't look at the 10, 200 gamers we've got. They single out the 5-gamer. It is
unbelievable.
It is mind-numbing. I'm literally just grabbing my head right now. You can't see, but it's mind-numbing what these supporters will single out. They won't look at Crisp having no impact. They won't look at Sidebottom, who should have been retired fucking 12 weeks ago. They won't look at Pendlebury popping another fucking soft tissue. No, they'll ignore all that and they'll single out Puncher. It's fucking sickening. It makes me not want to fucking
It's
support
actually
this club
spineless and
anymore.
weak. That's what it is.
It makes
Gutless.
me not
They're
want to
cowards.
support this club,
They're
mate.
cowards.
Seriously. And they'll defend Chris. They'll defend a guy like that, and they'll slam a Puncher in his fucking 4th game, and he's got linguini arms and legs. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Just be fucking smarter, please. Crisp has given us nothing all year. Houston gives us nothing. And people are talking about him being our top 5 players this year. What are we fucking doing at this club? Where are we are Carlton supporters now. Newsflash. We sound like Carlton supporters because 90% of our fucking supporter base is acting like them. Please, grow a set. Realise we've got issues here, and we're doing nothing about it to this point. And it's going to be a big off season at this football club because they're going in with Craig McRae again next year. I promise you. And you're going to have
Absolutely, they are.
All the supporters are going to roll back on again. And then by round 3, we're going to be asking the same fucking questions we are right now. And let's just fucking hope. Let's hope to God it's a better year next year. Because I tell you now, 9th is not good enough. And 9th is not finals. If we win this week, we're in the finals. Okay? I don't consider this finals. So anyone that's going to hang their hat on, we've made finals this year. No. If we win this week, we've made finals this year. Let me be clear. This is not a finals year as we sit now. We need to win on the weekend for it to be considered a year where we made finals. Okay? And again, the only redemption from here is getting to a prelim this year. That is the only.
I agree with that.
That is the only time I will turn around and say,
It'll be a pass.
yeah, you know what? Yeah. All things considered, it's a pass for the year. Right now, it is the biggest failure of all time. And in my, like I said, in the 30 years, we've had worse teams get to better positions. Let me be clear. We've had worse teams get to better positions. And that includes under Buckley. And I wasn't a big Buckley fan, but that includes Buckley too. You have the best player in the competition and you have finished 9th on the ladder. I repeat, you have potentially the greatest footballer that has ever played this game in 160 years and you have finished 9th.
Yep. Yeah, it's insanely bad. And, unfortunately, most Collingwood supporters disagree with us. 90% of them probably. And, most of these Collingwood YouTube channels you see in the chat, and may as well just be the Collingwood Football Club social media page, just how glowing they are of everything at the club. And but then rather than criticize, the coach or a Crisp or a Sidebottom, they're into someone like Puncher. So, yeah, it just infuriates me. But my point with not just what Kingy's saying, because what Kingy's saying is obvious to us. It's been obvious for more than a year. To me, it's been obvious Cray doesn't have what it takes since 2024 when he botched. We're premiers and he botched it the year after, not making finals. The point, one of the reasons I'm playing this is giving you an example of the mainstream media is starting to realise that McRae doesn't know what he's doing, or is deliberately screwing us up. He's either doing it on purpose or he's poor at so many attributes of what makes a good coach. Now, I don't like Chris Scott. I don't like Sam Mitchell. I can't stand both of those Geelong, Brisbane, Hawthorn, arrogant fuckwits. But they've got a bit of hardness about them. And they don't make so many dumb decisions. They get about 8 or 9 out of 10 right with their calls. So someone said, I think it was Crossy said in the chat earlier, we need to get someone at the Collingwood Football Club who's got some balls, who can just show some example of a leader and show this is the example we want for our team, right? Josh Fraser comes into Carlton and he puts Zach Williams, who's on over $1 million, he puts him in the VFL. Why is he in the VFL? Because he's not good enough. He's not lifting his weight. We've got guys in Crisp, Sidebottom, Houston, and others who just shouldn't be in the side. But they know that when they see the teams picked on every Thursday night, they're just in automatically. How can you have a good spirit, a good culture going through a group when there's favoritism going on. It's just, it can't be helpful. And still, hats off to the kids when they come in, they've been screwed for a year or more, but hats off to them. They come in and they have a crack and they do well. So it's amazing that we perform as well as we do when there's this obvious favoritism and people have played favorites over others. It's essentially bullying is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm completely and I'm going to mention his name because I feel like it's within my contract at this channel to be mentioning his name. Yeah, I'm fully of the opinion that there's been some workplace bullying towards Jacob Ryan because the fact that he, and again, I know it's one of those things. I know people are going to get annoyed by this, but it's just reality at this point. Yeah, the fact that he's like it's been what 3 years since he played his first game, didn't even get through it because he got concussed. Like, and then even like just this year alone, there's even been guys that have even had the announcement of their first game, and they got Jacob Ryan to actually tell them that they are playing their first game. How insensitive do you have to be as a football club when Ryan ended up playing his first game, didn't even technically even play it because he got concussed? Surely that has to be some levels of incompetence that is just like beyond this world, and then not to even, I don't, obviously I say this by not knowing, but I would absolutely hope when they did some of that content, Ryan at least got some level of support, when he was doing that. Because even though he might say, "Oh, well, but it was fine," blah blah, this and that, I don't care. That is workplace bullying to the fullest extent. Like the fact that you have a guy that is basically, in fact, I actually looked up his stats the other day. He was averaging like 23, 24 disposals in the VFL. And I think it was like 6 or 7 marks, like, basically doing enough to get a senior game. And the fact that throughout the season, he was basically the person that was in these announcement videos of telling other people that they were going to play their first game. How insensitive as a football club do you have to be to let that happen?
I just hope for Ryan's sake, because it's very clear that he's going to get delisted. I hope he gets another opportunity. He might not, but I hope he gets another opportunity, and I hope he ends up playing, 100 AFL games, and he can, make a respectable career out of himself, because he has not been given the opportunities. Yeah, he might not just have it. However, he's been given no opportunities. And I repeat, he was given one opportunity 3 years ago and not given another game since. Now, it's just not good enough. Even if you don't think he's up to the level, there would have been opportunities to actually just slot him in for a game or 2 or 3 or whatever you had to do, just to see. And also, just as a goodwill gesture, I heard Void speak about it a few weeks ago. Sometimes it's good, if you're going to delist him, at least you've given him an opportunity in a full game where he hasn't been bloody concussed. So if he never plays another game of AFL, at least he's got a story to tell. And you might think, oh, that's a little bit soft. Mate, everything we do at this club is soft. So why not bloody why not gift him a game? It's funny because he's so soft on all these other players, but he's a hard ass on a Jacob Ryan. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's soft on Sidebottom, Pendlebury, Crisp. It's soft on all these guys, but then he's super hard on the fucking guy that, got concussed in his one and only game and has not been given an opportunity. Like, it's laughable.
Basically, Jacob Ryan's like the mega family guy.
It's just laughable.
Just every time Jacob Ryan walks into a room, shut up, Meg. Or
guys,
just any like TV show character where they're just there for just the punchline. That's Jacob Ryan.
We're talking King Windy. Welcome, King Windy. We're talking about Jacob Ryan. He's a mid-sized defender that's been on our list for 4 years. He's had one game, and he's been doing really well in the VFL for a few years. And even with nearly all of our mid-sized defenders out, he doesn't get a game, and we're we're playing guys like Sidebottom and Houston and Crisp are horribly out of form, and he still can't get a game. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's workplace bullying to the finest degree, and I don't care what anyone. Like again, as I said before, he literally gets treated like he's Meg from Family Guy. Like the second he walks into the room and he opens his mouth, everyone just goes, "Shut up, Meg." You know, like it's just at what point do you just sort of go, okay, no, like something needs to happen
Like this.
here, or like, yeah,
Like this, like what Mark
it's
Neville's saying
just-
here. Guarantee his parents and family would be saying him, "Can't wait to see you leave the Collingwood Football Club," because they probably didn't barrack for Collingwood, and your kid gets recruited and they all turn up, on draft night and they're all wearing the Collingwood jerseys and the scarves, and they'll be like, "We had to put up with this for 3 years, and it's Collingwood who screwed our kid over. Get the fuck out of there, son." So, yep, I hope another club picks him up, and I think they will. He's a talent. Why not?
I hope so. I honestly, like I said,
especially as
and
well. Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say really quick, like for a guy of Jacob Ryan's talents, he gets a game every week, no question. Like in any bottom six side. I mean, even Port would take him in a heartbeat, surely, right? Like he would
Yep.
line up for Port Adelaide. He's originally from South Australia. Port get him, even if it's rookie draft, even if it's SSP, you lock him away, put him in the back pocket for the next 5 to 6 years. Like, and yeah, even if he doesn't come good, okay, but at least you're giving him an opportunity. At least you give him some games. But he could be solid for, yeah, he could be solid for at least a handful of years for sure. Like, but again, like without these consistent opportunities at AFL level, it's just going to be really hard to sort of, and even then, like, there's always stories whenever players get like cut. I think Tom Phillips was a good one where even he said like once I know he didn't get delisted and stuff, but once he got traded over to Hawthorn, like I don't really want to like quote him or anything because like it's been so long since I watched I believe he had a podcast with somebody about it, but like he just said that he just wasn't himself once he left Collingwood. And then he said that, yeah, it definitely affected his form, affected his ability to play the game. And it honestly wouldn't surprise me if the same things happened to Finlay McRae. Wouldn't surprise me if Ryan goes through the same thing now. Like, I think we again, and this is why I've harped on for so long about the mental and emotional toll that this game had on the players itself. So just because if let's just say Jake Ryan does go to Port, he gets signed up, and he like it comes to find out that he is no good. It's not always just because it's like not talent based. Sometimes it could be just the mental and emotional toll could have been so much to the point where that cripples you as a person, which then cripples you as a player.
Yeah, look, for mine, it just comes down to opportunity. Like I said, he might not have it, and that's fine. But the fact that you've had him on the list for so long and there's been ample opportunities just to blood him and give him a proper go for 2 or 3 weeks, it just never came. That's what's disappointing. Like I said, he might get delisted, not picked up, and then people are going to turn around and say, see, he was never any good. Yep, that might be right. But again, it's the opportunity. Sometimes all you need is an opportunity in life. And I just feel bad sometimes when guys are never given it, And again, look, he'll almost certainly be delisted at the end of the year, and I hope he moves on. And whatever he does, if he stays in football and gets picked up by another club, I hope he can eke out 50, 100 games somewhere, and at least he'll know. At least we will know that okay, maybe we just didn't give him the opportunity, and he did have a bit of something, because I'm pretty confident that he I don't know if he's good enough like to be a star or anything, but I definitely think he would have been worthy of given opportunities. So I've watched most of the twos games, and I'm like, he just seems like a handy sort, a bit of a fringe player, and with opportunity, he could have taken the next step, but we'll just never know, unfortunately. So And
Oh,
I don't know who
exactly.
said
I
it.
mean, in terms of the player comparison, he was basically like a Noble. So, no one's going to sit here and say that Noble was like this star player. But for a guy you can basically put in either halfback, but he does enough to do his job. Like he doesn't have a bad game, but he's average every week. Sometimes you just need those guys, especially in defense. If you can have a defender that doesn't have a bad game, that's a good thing. And yeah, if you can walk away from a game of saying, oh, that Jacob Ryan, I can't remember anything he did. But the thing is that with defenders, that normally comes to be a good thing, because if you're a defender, your job is to basically not turn the ball over. So if you're not thinking, oh, like Ryan had that turnover that resulted, or 3 turnovers that resulted in 3 goals, okay, then that's like something you can then have the discussion on. But it's like, yeah, like even in the VFL, like, and like our VFL was under so much stress too this year, and the fact that he didn't even have Cochrane for the majority of the season too, and like I felt like there was even at times part of like VFL key defenders, he was even having to play like a key defender role at times too. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like this guy's going to be the most mishandled player of all time in the AFL. Has worked so damn hard only to get one game where he got concussed in the first quarter. Yeah, I'm not gonna not die on this hill for Jacob Ryan, because he deserves so much better at this football club, and it's really disappointing to know that this is gonna end up with us actually just not giving a shit about him towards the end.
Just want to report on what Mello's written. Mello wrote, Jesse Hogan wants to join Collingwood. It was reported tonight. So I think that's been in. Sorry to change track a little bit, but just to go back to this, you said a little while ago. But yeah, look, again, it's just another washed guy that wants to come to the Pies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have to look at the reality of the situation. He could very well be washed. If he wasn't washed, he'd be staying at GWS, wouldn't he? Like, again, we're crying out for a full forward, but he's at the end of his career and he's got a pretty bad injury from all reports. So, like, whoop-de-doo. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to be flippant about it, but like, that just, to me, it doesn't even, like, it just screams of desperation, to be honest. Like, and okay, if he's coming out and saying he wants to be a client, like, it's just, yeah. Why isn't anyone of note coming out and saying they want to be a Collingwood player? Like, we're just getting these this is what we're really good at. We've been really good at getting washed up footballers at the end of their career for the last 20 years. We never get them in their prime. We get them when they're completely washed. So, if he comes across, he comes good and kicks 50 goals, I'll have egg on my face. But again, we can't get them when they're in their prime. We get them for the last whoop-de-doo of their career, and very rarely do they work.
Guys, you want to just finish off with Kingy, Sean?
Yep.
Okay. This is at the point where we stopped it last time. He was talking about whether he thinks it's the players who are saying they want to play, and he's letting them make that decision.
Ray made this calculated
I still have.
risk.
Well, if he's not making those calls, why be coach? That is your job as the coach, surely.
Well, I think he's made a grave error and put a real thorn in the side of this premiership opportunity.
I don't think you can put this on Nick Dacos in his
Well, I don't care who. Craig McRae, no problem. Craig McRae knows what was up for grabs. We talked about last week with him.
Yeah.
So whoever's made this decision, whether it is the player or whether it is the coach, I don't care who it is. You're not there with Scott Pendlebury next week when you had the perfect opportunity to have as many of your best 23 players represent. They're not there. It's one of the greatest own goals I've seen in a while. And maybe teams are not ready for this wild card series. Maybe they're a bit discombobulated, but that's a poor decision.
You called it last week.
I was surprised. I was surprised they didn't manage more players. The freshen up would do the world of good. And that's why the advantage to teams that have a bye and they get that advantage. And they had the chance to rest players and chose not to. And in the end, they don't get the win. They don't get anything out of it from a review. Craig McRae has said we're not even going to watch this game back. So what was the point, of even going out there and just risking injury? So, yeah, I think they missed a trick as well.
What did you make of the Lions?
I thought they were terrific. And I think they are cherry ripe. I think the
All right, they're going to just glaze the Lions now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, hard to disagree with any of that. Like, let's be honest, we've all spoken about it. What were we hoping to achieve out of that game? I understand playing like, okay, your Crisps of the world and your side bottoms even. I understand that. But the Pendlebury one makes no sense. The Darcy Cameron one makes no sense. The Dan McStay makes no sense. Some of them just absolutely made zero sense. Even Membry. Like, I know he's had a real roller coaster season and whatnot, but he probably would have been good for a week off. Certain things. It's just like, what were we hoping to achieve? I was at the game live, and the game was hot for the first quarter, right? But then it progressively just tapered off as we sort of realised we weren't going to win the game. So the intention was to start the game to win the game, right? But again, you sort of, we were caught in this no man's land where it was like, okay, well, we're not going to win this game, and Pendlebury's gone injured, and I don't know. It sort of just didn't make any sense to me. And Maynard was trying to get up for the game as well, and that's probably what ended up making him miss the rest of the year, because he was really trying to get up for that game. Like, why weren't you just saying, no, Maynard, you're not playing, and focus on that wild card game? It seems as though he was going really hard at training, and that's what's done him in. Again, it's just, where's Wade? Where's Fly? Where's the leaders of this club? Common sense. It just seems like we really dropped the ball this week. Really. And again, I don't think no matter
this was
what
our
way
bye.
This
was our bye, wasn't it? I mean, see, Carlton, the Bulldogs, and Melbourne didn't have the luxury that we did to know we knew where we were going to be. So Melbourne, Footscray, Hawthorn, other sides were just going hell for leather. They fuck. This could be it. We need to really plant our flag here and go for it. Collingwood had the luxury. Yeah, it's a wild card, mind you, but we knew where we were finishing. And so this is a chance. So what if we get smashed? But like we keep saying, when we give all these young guys, you put in a Dimatia, you put in a Coe, you put in a Ryan, and not have Sidey in the team, not have Crisp in the team, not have Houston in the team, not have Pendles in the team. Apart from Pendles, who can be influential still to this day, we don't get anything from the other guys. So we'd play better. But give those old guys, if Fly's determined to bring the oldies and the non-performers back for an elimination final, a wild card, at least they've had a rest and they're freshened up.
Didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and also as well, it even comes back to having the selection integrity, and just even if you were to put a Crisp, even if you were to put a Sidey back in the VFL. Like we saw, even just from Harry's performance last year when Tom Mitchell went down there, like he went from a guy that was getting maybe 11, 12 disposals, really was doing enough to do something, but really in reality he was doing nothing. And then Tom Mitchell came in, and they put Harry and Tom Mitchell in the same centre bounce, and they both got 25 disposals each, just first game off the bat. Like that's not something to where that just like happens because he's just good now, But then you also had and I'm sure that the motivation from Harry would have been really good for him, because he would have been, oh shit, like Tom Mitchell's here, like I better step up. This is probably not his idol, but probably someone he would have highly respected. And the fact that he's the fact that he was getting 25 disposals off the bat, and then basically went on didn't he? I think he also won the VFL Best and Fairest as well too. So that's off the back of pretty much Tom Mitchell being there. But why are we not doing the same thing with Sidebar? Why are we not doing the same thing with Crisp? Why are we having these guys being injured, coming back, but then they just come straight back in the side? You know, we played McStay through the VFL when he got injured. Why do we have this like arrogance to where it's like if they're a best 23 player, they don't touch the VFL? You know, it's just and you know, I don't know, Void is still in the chat, but me and Void have had conversations about, yeah, even if there has been, like, let's actually get him on the list so that they can play VFL. Because if you can get these guys and they've got, you know, 200, 250 games, you know, kind of similar to like a Neville Jetta, that what we got a few years back, like a Neville Jetta, but you get say half a dozen of them, like that'd be awesome for the playing group, you know. But we don't do that. We just don't we just don't seem to maximize the list in its full potential. You know, even if it is a key forward, small forward, a midfielder, ruckman, winger, small defender, tall defender, you get one player of each position that have played say 200 games or more through an AFL experience. That's that's literally a leader in every single position. And then if we have, you know, let's just say we have X player that's trying to develop, you know, someone's like, even if we were to get like a Zach McCarthy in the VFL, and it's like, oh, we're going to get like a Hogan, you know, let's just say, for example, Hogan for the VFL, and he's got to teach like Zach McCarthy forward craft, you know, like I feel like that would be pretty good. And I'm not saying Hogan exactly, like it's just whoever you can get is like who you can get, but yeah, but yeah, no, to get someone that can come in and be that, you know, sort of experienced player to help these kids develop, like this is where you're also not like taking the piss at VFL level too, because and I've said it for a few weeks now, like our VFL is a damn graveyard, like, and that's why you'll even have players where it's like they'll probably find the VFL a waste of time. But I mean, at this point, I'm even starting to think about it now, where it's like I don't even blame the players anymore now. Like, why would you want to go to the VFL and just get your 10, 12 disposals and do stuff all, you know, when you could easily just, you know, play or use the mates card and go, hey mate, can you put my name forward for senior selection? Because Flyer's obviously soft enough to where he's going to play them anyway. You know, so if a player wants to play senior football and they've got 200 games under their belt, like they're just going to get a game just off that, and you can't tell me otherwise. Because Tim Membry had what 3 disposals against, I think it was Williamstown, and played absolutely shocking football. But then he was in the side next week. You know, so it's just, yeah, just this like how we're running this football club is just not good enough.
Yeah, we tend to not have a squad mentality, or Fly doesn't seem to have a squad mentality. He seems to have a, you know, these are my senior 25, 26, and these are just the resis, you know. There's no like using the squad. And you are right. Like I said, all you need to do is watch VFL games throughout this year, all the ones that you boys have covered here and on Mixed Channel, the Magpie Army Chronicles, all the VFL games against other opposition teams that have AFL affiliated teams. You'll see 2 or 3 players in all those teams that have played 50 AFL games, 100 AFL games, whatever it may be. But there's always 2 or 3 names in those opposition teams that have played over like 100 AFL games, right? Our VFL team, the most senior experience you've got is guys with like 5 AFL games, 10 AFL games. And you're right. They're, in terms of like developing the young guys, there should be more senior representation in there. And it doesn't have to be from our guys that are in the list. It can be guys that you get from other clubs. And, you know, at the end of the day, most of the VFL guys, if they're on the list full time, yes, of course, they're training with the main group and they're learning all the same stuff and it's all fine and dandy. However, when they're playing games every Saturday or Sunday or whenever the bloody VFL play, if they've got senior guys next to them teaching them properly, you're going to get better results than when they're just surrounded by kids and, really no super experienced footballers in there. That's why a guy like M-Pod that's down there, okay, that's handy, even though he might not be on the list next year. Let's say he might stay on the VFL list, right? He might want to stay at Collingwood VFL. Great start, because he's a guy that, okay, he doesn't have senior experience, but he's played bloody 100, 150 VFL games, and he's a senior sort of guy. You just got to have these sort of guys down there helping out the kids, rather than just having a team full of bloody kids that chops and changes every week, and there's no real senior figures down there to actually steer the ship and help them out and teach them the ropes and whatnot. Because again, I can guarantee, as much as we wouldn't like to think about it, there'd be senior guys that are on our list that probably hardly have any interaction or anything with some of those VFL guys. And that's just natural, because they're not playing with them week in, week out. So if you've got 3 or 4 guys that are just in the VFL full time, even if they're not on our main list, but they're AFL senior footballers from elsewhere, it'll be great for the development. Because if we are to believe Fly, and we think that none of these guys are really pushing their name forward and putting their name up in lights, that could be part of the reason. Maybe the development's just not there. So let's swap it around a bit. Give them a bit more experience down there to help them out. I think that could only be a good thing. I don't think it'll be a negative thing at all. Because, I'd rather have a guy down there that's played 100 AFL games to help out the kids, rather than promoting a guy from bloody Narry Warren for 2 or 3 games in there. You know what I mean? It just seems pointless, Okay, that guy gets an opportunity and it's great and whatever else, but is that the best thing for the kids' development? I don't think so. I think what would be better for them is to have some senior AFL guys that, can just help them out, chop them out and whatnot. And your perfect example of Tom Mitchell when he was down there, making Harry Dimatia a better footballer, is a great example of that, So, look, the VFL team was also a disaster this year. They came good back end of the year. They started playing some better footy. But what were we? Were we sitting bottom or second bottom for the majority of the year? That's just not good enough,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, also just touching on the comments, just about that we should basically start painting the nails again. God, I actually erased that from my memory. When what was it, Bolton that was painting the nails of the players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's fine when you're winning, and it's fine if that's like what gets them to be motivated. But like, God, if I was to see that in a pre-game thing, then don't think I'd be pretty happy about that, because it's just, do that when things are working. Don't do that when things are the way it currently is right now.
Just touching on that subject. So Corey Enright, is that rumoured to be what's happening next year? We're going to get Corey Enright in?
Apparently, we're going after him. There's no like confirmation. There's no like guarantee that we're getting him, because I think there's other clubs going after him. But apparently, we have interest.
Okay. Because his credentials are pretty good, are they?
I believe so. I mean, it's always hard with coaches, because it's like how can you know who's a good coach, who's not? Especially if you're an assistant coach, you're not really showing like your own work. You're only trying to complement someone else's. So I always find it hard to sort of like gauge, like, okay, is this a good coach? Is it not a good coach? You just have to hope their track record, when they arrived, what were they before? What are they now? But he seems good enough.
Yeah. Well, I
I'd
guess
imagine it'd be pretty hard to do your own work under Ross Lyon too.
that's also true. Maybe that's why he's finally had enough of it. Because, I can imagine you would probably get given absolutely no say, really, under Ross. So all reports, he just runs the club, every aspect of the club to his way and all the highway sort of thing. So yeah, look, I want to see a shake up. If we're going to move forward with Fly, which we obviously are, I want to see a shake up with the assistant coaches because, yeah, I think the more I think about it, the Tyson Goldsack acquisition might have been a bit of a play to somehow get Zach Butters, entice Butters to come.
Yeah.
Something just screams of that being the case. So yeah, I reckon it might be, yeah, someone like a Goldsack or something might get tipped out. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see some shake-ups there. I think not only do we have this war chest, which is going to end up being all for nothing, really. I think that they need to worry about some assistance in the backroom support there, and that includes VFL as well. I think you just got to go heavy on development, staff that are a little bit better on the development aspect, more so than game day stuff. That's just my opinion anyway. I think we're really got to start. If we've got O'Brien at the helm and we're going to get in some quality talent, I think we've really got to go down the development path. Not in terms of bottoming out and whatnot, but really just prioritising getting these guys up to the AFL standard as quick as possible. Because, yeah, I really want to start seeing some big changes in the 23 week to week. Because, yep, if we're to believe Fly that a lot of them weren't ready, okay, let's correct that. Let's try and really go after development aspect of the coaching, because yeah, like I said, the VFL just didn't perform well enough this year for my liking, and you know what, to a certain extent, yeah, that would come back to the development side of things. So yep, let's address that. So look, if Corey Enright's the man, that's great, but yeah, I do want to see some changes in that part of the club.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, especially when it just seems like just across the board, we just have so many, and I'm sure people look at this in terms of, being mean and nasty, but we truly do have people that I feel like finalists. And if we're going to be a spineless football club, then we're not going to be winning any flags. So at the end of the day, that's the reality. If you guys want to support a club that's going to be, in between 10 to anywhere between 10 to 5 in the next, decade or so, then so be it. Back in Fly, back in all these things. But no, I want more than that. I want flags. I want success. And yeah, I think it just goes to show that, and I think as well too. I'll even put this out there too. I think it is a little bit of the inmates trying to run the asylum. The fact that Fly is letting that happen, the fact that Fly is letting the AFL dictate terms, and he's basically abiding by those rules. Um, there's no. It just feels like there's no challenging opinion inside of the club, and yeah, I think we're so desperate for that. I feel like we're so yeah. It's a very needed part to getting us better. And even when I say getting us better, like I still feel like we have the list to contend for, like even for next year. But we need to have so much shit go in our favor. Um, and even when it comes to like in the injury management, the fact that we're rushing players back, um, like why did we need a Darcy Moore in round 3 just so he could ping another calf or hamstring or whatever the hell injury he had? I mean, the injury is irrelevant, but like, why do we need to play a Darcy Moore in round 3 when like round 3 doesn't matter? Like like in the overall season it matters to a point, but like like I don't even know who whatever game it was, but like yeah, the fact that we're so desperate for, or even like what I mean, it's always the media that's always like, oh, X player is like trying to race to round 1. Like there should be no and that's the if the club is thinking that, or is that's the narrative the club is assuming that's what the situation is. Like there should be no race. Like the race, it doesn't become a race to play a senior game till even if a player doesn't play till round 10. Like, does it really matter at the end of the day? I mean, you could drop 8 games in the first 10 rounds. You can still make that up. you know, and then at the end of the day, if those 8 losses you have out of 10, if you're playing, you know, so many kids that are getting 10 games under their belts, you're actually, as much as you can go, oh, but it's only 2 wins and 8 losses, you're actually improving the team. You're improving the club because you're then giving more information to figure out, okay, all these kids that we're playing, we now know what makes them a weapon. We know what are their weaknesses, and then you go, okay, well, if we play say 10 kids, let's just say for example, for story purposes, three out of those 10 kids are good. Okay, we'll keep them. We'll keep playing them. But then the other 7 that go into the VFL, okay, well, this guy needs to do this. That player needs to do that. That player is struggling in this. Okay, that player is just no good. But it's the fact that you're putting them in those positions to figure out what are their deficiencies. They can then go back into the VFL. They can then play for 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then they can build off what they know is their deficiencies, so then they can either improve them or figure out other ways to get more strings to their bow. Because again, playing as you were saying, age like playing against like plumbers and electricians and all this stuff, like it's really not doing anything. And that's why when we get these guys and they're having like their first game in the senior footy, um, I feel like because there is such a jump from playing a standalone VFL side to an AFL side, it's such a big jump. So it's like sometimes you just need to go, okay, do we see promise in this player? Okay, just throw them in the deep end and let's just find out. You know, because we seem to do it with a few players, but we don't have like an overall. Like I know Harvey Harrison, he was sort of thrown in there when like he played his first game in 23, had 2 games in a row, just looked like a fish out of water. Okay, cool. We found out that he's not doing these things in particular. Okay, let's put him back in the VFL. He's clearly struggling, so we're not gonna, you know, punish the guy by playing more senior footy. But at least we go, okay, mate, we've seen you play 2 games now, and you're doing this, this, and this. We need to improve on this, this, and this. And
Yeah.
then he'll, 'cause again, it's a whole confidence. It's a whole confidence thing. We're not ignoring you. We're actually doing the opposite. We're trying to get you into the side, but we're not going to put you into the side to the detriment of this football club. So if
Yeah.
you do these things, it's only another 10%. You improve that 10% in these few areas, then you're going to get a game. So how bad do you want this next run of football games?
And
You
that's the
know?
other thing, Sean. Once they've been given an opportunity, so let's just say it's 2 weeks, right? So you've been given 2 weeks in the ones. You're playing a big bloody game. You're playing in front of 70,000 people. Okay, you might not play well or whatever, but okay, how hungry would you be when you go back to the VFL and the coaches have said, look, yep, you're admirable, but these are the things you need to work on. You need to work on this, this, and this. How much more motivated would you be to, get to bed early every night, get up early and do what you have to do, get to the club early and do your rehab and your swimming? How much more eager would you be knowing that, oh my God, playing in front of 70,000 people, that was the greatest thing that I've ever done in my life? You would
Yeah.
have this extra motivation to want to get back there, right? And you've been given the opportunity, so you know that there's a path forward. When you're just rotting in the twos forever and a day, you'd find it hard to ever see a path forward. And I always compare it to being an apprentice. I was an apprentice as a tradesman, and you never see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because you're just getting paid fuck all, and you're just doing bits and pieces, and you're just sort of helping out. But one day the boss turns around and says, "Have a go at this and see how you go." And in my experience, yeah, you'd fuck it up from time to time. But you know what? You felt awesome knowing that, oh, he's trusted me to do it. I'm going to do my best. But okay, you might fuck it up. But the boss says, yep, no, this is what you did wrong. This is what you did wrong. This is what you did well. All right, try better again next time. And then it's you can compare being in the twos to an apprenticeship, right? Where you're just there to learn, okay? But you do need little snippets along the way to give you the taste of what life's going to be, you know? I think if you're just constantly rotting in that, it's just good for nobody. So again, next year is going to be a big year because I said this at the end of last year. I don't want to see the same 23 trotted out again next year. And I saw it this year. The same 23 got selected virtually again for the start of this year. And it's amounted to what this season has, which for me is a failure. Again, unless we get to a prelim, we're still alive in the season. Unless we get to a prelim, it's a failure. So what are we going to do next year? We need we need to change the direction from what has been and what it needs to be going forward. Now, also just on the Darcy Moore chat, because you're right, he had virtually no preseason, and yeah, okay, he might have been fit enough come round 0 or round 1 or whatever it was. Yes, he may have been fit enough. However, you should know this Darcy Moore character better, that he can't really play with bloody injuries. So for me, it would have been smart to say, Darcy, you're not going to be up for selection until round 3. Just get yourself cherry ripe, mate. You know, just get yourself absolutely cherry ripe and we'll go from there. Instead, it just seemed like he rushed into it and yeah, he never got going. The other one was Bo McCreary, interrupted pre-season, and he was pretty crap for the first half of the year. Yeah, he's come good these last few weeks, but you know, for majority of the year, he was very poor. How you not turn to him and say, Bo, you're going to have an extra month, all right? You just get yourself cherry ripe and whatever. And okay, we might drop a game or two along the way because of not having him there. So be it. You may as well not flirt with the guys that have had no preseason. Like, it just seems like a no-brainer to me. Again, this goes back to Wade and those sorts, you know. You just got to be smarter. You're not going to have your best team available at the start of the year every year. There's going to be guys that are battling stuff or they haven't had the correct preseason and whatnot. At the end of the day, if they're not fit, they're not fit. You just got to be smart about it. And okay, if the player's telling you they're fit, you just got to say, okay, but you haven't had the preseason. So we're going to give you that extra week or two and your loads are going to be a bit different to the rest of the squad. Like, I don't know. Like I said, there's just so many questions we've come from this year and a lot of stuff has just not really made sense. And there's been a lot of mistakes along the way. And we're in the position we're in now. And, you know, for some people, they'll consider this a pass. But again, like I said, a lot of people are blaming injuries. But like I said, the first front half of the year, we had virtually a full squad to choose from and we were losing games. So, you know, yeah, recently the injuries have been something that have held us back, but the season was already sort of going down a bit of a slippery slope even before that, you know. We've hung around this position we've been in all year. Before injuries, after injuries, we've just been around the same, you know, wild card position virtually all year. If you look at the ladder from the start of the year to now, we've just been locked in this position. So, you know, it's the ultimate floundering of all time. So things need to change. So next year, we want to see change. Simple as that. And it starts with the coaching. It starts with the development. I'm really big on that. I do think we've got some kids there that can explode, but we just got to nurture them the right way.
Absolutely. Yeah, so in terms of other topics, Matt, do we want to go on to, I guess, potential recruits?
I think
Not
that's a
sure who's
yes,
there, actually.
Shawnee.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as a yes. All right, so yeah, so I think it's been pretty evident that as a football club, we've been trying to get a key forward. I think even though that we're not going to go get King, but still think that a forward is very much needed. You know, I've been sort of on the hype train of a Jake Riccardi. Just reckon that he's Yeah, I sort of see his pathway. I sort of see his story. Back in 23, kicked 37 goals for the season. Hasn't played. I feel like he's always been a fourth or fifth option in the forward line at best, and it's a very similar situation to like a McStay. Yeah, so that's in terms of now that we have a bit of cash, we're not really hamstrung by that. So obviously, Alan might get a bit more coin. You like to hope that the Lockie Neal stuff is going to be a bit easier now, and yeah, so I can just sort of like see us maybe going after maybe even another target or two, just purely because the Zach Butters stuff is off the table. So yeah, we'll probably go into like any key forward sort of options with probably being Riccardi. So, Age, what's your thoughts around Riccardi and would you want him and what's the overall picture you reckon?
Now, Sean, I heard your discussion about this. I think it was last week when you were speaking about, it, and I agree with everything you said. Now, Collingwood, for whatever reason, we get our best results out of these like underperforming potential guys from other clubs. So you look at your Billy Framptons of the world, you look at your Lee Browns, these sort of tall to medium to tall athletic types, we generally get our best results out of when it comes to recruiting guys into the club. So what does that say? Jake Riccardi ticks every single box. So flexible, pretty athletic and out of favour at his club. And I know a little bit of the discussion was, oh, well, he's fifth in line there and whatnot. Yeah, that's fine. He might be fifth in line there, but okay, we're not GWS, we're Collingwood. So what are our needs? Our needs are, okay, if he can go forward and be an athletic type forward, great. If he can chop out in the ruck, great. To me, it just ticks every box. And if he's out of favour, he should be really easy to get. So, these are the shrewd recruits that, okay, he might not turn into be a superstar. However, he might plug a need for 3 or 4 years and he just fits in seamlessly. And you're like, yep, that's sort of great get. So, yep, completely agree, Sean. I think if he is looking for a new start or he's going to get delisted from GWS or whatever the situation might be, I reckon 100% he should be a guy we look at.
Yeah, because I mean, even with the information, apparently tonight Hogan was the player that was mentioned. I wouldn't even touch Hogan, especially when you've got, especially when we're ironically also looking at Stringer. I know it probably it makes me feel, it makes it even more sort of hilarious. And it's like, oh, if you've got Hogan and you've got Stringer, why don't we just go get McCarthy as well, Cadman? So, but like, no, I mean, out of all the key forwards, especially in terms of what's like realistic, um, yeah, I'd probably take a Riccardi for sure. Like, I know, like the Stringer one, I don't know if that's like confirmed or if that's like how likely that is. I would imagine that the currency wouldn't be too much. Um, so I guess in a sense, like I'm sort of coming around to it. I still don't like it, but no, I'd rather be a bit more bold and probably go with a Riccardi. You wouldn't have to, well, to my knowledge, you wouldn't have to worry about so much off-field stuff. And as I said, being that fourth or fifth option in the forward line, like McStay was that, and like he only, it's really rare to have a player that's kicked 30 goals and they be like a fifth option. So the fact that in 23 he had 37 goals on very small, on a small sort of not sample size, but in terms of the ball he got and the way he was targeted, if he was a fifth option, that's like significantly less opportunities to mark the ball, kick goals, all this stuff. So you go from a number 5 option to potentially at worst, a second option. That's already like a lot more opportunities. And then if he has more opportunities, if he's kicking 37 goals in a year with more opportunities, that might make him a 50-goal forward. So if you have McStay and also Riccardi, if they both kick 50 goals for the season, where that sort of means we're in pretty good shape at that point. So if you take like Tim Membry out, you have so basically you have Riccardi, your full forward, you have McStay, centre forward, and then West as a roaming, sort of third tall, even though he could be just as good as a full forward himself, but just because he's young at the moment, it's better to make him a third and have him as this like overqualified third tall than potentially being a underqualified full forward. And yeah, so that's basically my thoughts behind it and why I would go after a Cardi. And and I think as well when you see him have like set shots, he seems to have a pretty good kicking action. Although it's been a while since I've seen him kick the footy, but and my only concern is that this year it's been a year where he's been a bit injured. So I think he had an ankle injury this year. I believe that's what it was. And but yeah, so maybe we would need to check to see how bad that is. But he's been pretty durable all the years prior to this one. So I'm hoping that's just a one-off. But even then, um, you'd probably get him fairly cheaply. Maybe even if you throw like a future third in there, probably gets it done. Um, and yeah, that's basically you got your forward line set up pretty much done. Then whether if you have Tim Member in the VFL or you cut him or whatever, that's at least it at least makes us a bit more potent up forward, gives us another marking target to hit to a pack. And whether if you have a Riccardi taking a clunk or whether if he does drop it to ground and you've got Schultz and maybe in the back half Elliott to crumb the ball and others like Hayes and Harrison, these types, I think that probably puts us in good stead.
Yep, agree entirely, Sean. Peter G was saying, look, it looks like he wants to stay and the coach has spoken about it. Yep, look, that's all fine. We're just spitballing, guys that we think that clubs should target, whether or not they're available or not, it's a completely different story. It's more just the sense of what players do we think would fit, And to be honest,
and also as well with the Riccardi, with Riccardi, he's out of contract. So as much as we can say that he's likely to sign, unlikely to sign, or to move or go, the fact is right now he's out of contract. So if he's out of contract, those are the guys where you're definitely going to be looking at if they do fit your list. Those are the guys you're going to talk about because until they sign, because at the end of the day, we don't know. He could sign tomorrow. He could sign never. Like, all we know is that right now, as of this Monday, 24th of August, he has not signed a contract. So at least that's public information, right?
Yeah. He's going to be one of those guys that, like, they're going to obviously do a deep dive on their list and they're going to see, So, yeah, the coach might say he wants to keep him, but you just don't know how the cards fall. As far as I know, GWS are up to pussy's bow with their salary cap. So, at the end of the day, a guy like that might just get squeezed out or offered unders, and that's where you can swoop in and be like, here's a more attractive offer for you if you want to consider coming to Collingwood, That's how you get a lot of guys. They just get squeezed out. Yeah, the coach might want them, but they've only got 400 grand for them, and they're not important enough to warrant more of a contract. So if a Collingwood swoops in and they're offering, 600-700 grand, then like the tables turn very quickly. So you just don't know. But I'll just Void asked me a question. He said, Age, thoughts on trying to grab Merritt now that we missed on Butters? I've been saying he would be a great alternative, another A grader. Yep. Look, I was surprised last year that we didn't throw a hat in the ring for Merritt, but I think at the end of last year, there was a bit of noise over Matt Rowell, obviously, wasn't sure if Collingwood was sort of interested in him, and he met with Fly a few times and whatnot. Ultimately, stayed with Gold Coast. But yeah, look, Merritt's one of those guys. What will we need to give up to get him now? Probably still not. I don't know. I feel as though we would still need to give too much for him for where we are as a
Yeah.
list. But having said that, I think he's the sort of guy that could easily play another 3 or 4 years of high quality football. So, look, if the price was right, I would love a Zach Merritt. However, I also feel like Essendon will just ask for too much, and we have been notorious for giving away way too much for players, and I just don't want to be in that position again. I would rather go for your B grade players that you can get fairly and where we've had more sort of success from, rather than trying to get these A graders out of clubs that absolutely hate our guts. I just feel like, if the price was right for Merritt and the trade was fair, no worries. But I just feel like they're not going to play ball anyway. So it might be a little bit of pie in the sky stuff. I just don't want to give up our first rounder, and I know we're going to have to if we want to get a Merritt in, I would have been prepared to give up a first rounder for a Zach Butters. I'm not prepared to give up a first rounder for a Zach Merritt. And that's almost certainly what you're going to need to give up for him. So what do you reckon, Sean?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, the price would have to come significantly down for me. Yeah, I mean, even I know S will last 29. Yeah, I'd be looking at maybe like a goes maybe 20s.
Oh, you're chopping a bit
Just
there,
don't really.
Sean.
My,
Yeah, you chopped a little bit there.
yeah. All right, is this better?
We'll have to see.
I believe
Test
this
out
is better.
again. Yeah, say
Yeah.
what you said again, and we'll actually chat.
Yeah.
Was that just me, or was Sean a bit choppy there?
It's actually, well, it's hard for me to know because I'm not on my PC, so hopefully,
Yeah, fair enough.
hopefully I sound all right. Yeah, I'll just continue on, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't. I personally just don't want to give up our first rounder. Like I think we're in a pretty good opportunity to get someone like a Sam Gafer. Been really liking his game lately, and I think even if we are to hypothetically make a prelim, that's going to be anywhere from like pick 15 to 16, and I think Gaver's around that sort of pick. Yeah, okay. Chris reckons it's a bit choppy.
You've been better now. You're much better now.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So with yes, with the first rounder, I'd rather put into someone like a Sam Gafer. I know obviously they're not obviously the same type of. I think getting another young key forward, I think would be good for the future. And unless if Essendon want to sort of play ball, like I know, mm, like I know when it comes to the in terms of the overall like draft and stuff around that sort of P29 that we have.
Oh, you there, Sean? Sean might have dropped out a bit. I'll just go to some comments. Ruben Steve 1, with a comment. He says, "You guys dissing Fly, calling him a clown, make me sick. You're pathetic. Grow the fuck up." Yeah, Ruben, that's fine. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion, and we welcome all opinions on this channel. Look, at the end of the day, like we always say, it's a discussion. We want the club to be better. We think that the club, the way it's been run this year and for the last couple of years, actually hasn't been up to the standard that we think is correct. Look, I don't think we've called him those things. I'm not sure, we called him a clown or anything like that. Look, if you think we need to grow the fuck up because we're just having a discussion about the direction of our club, that's fair enough. But yeah, look, I'm not going to apologise for my views. We're not here to, peddle the lines to be liked and whatnot. We're here for the hard cause, mate. So look, if you want to have an honest discussion about where the club's at, happy to have it with you. But yeah, look, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But we're definitely not Glazers here. Chris also asked about Peter Wright, and I heard Void speak about Peter Wright a little bit as well. I love Peter Wright as a footballer, and I was amazed that we didn't target him when he sort of was planning to leave Gold Coast, because they got him for absolutely nothing. What other 200-centimetre full forwards are out there that come at like pick 70?
Exactly.
Look,
Yeah.
can we get him now? Okay, yeah. Look, Essendon are probably going to do a bit of a fire sale, and they're probably going to be happy to move a few on. And I know this might be super unpopular, but I was actually thinking of Ben Mackay. And I know people are probably hearing that and they're going to turn off and they've thrown their phone across the room. I honestly
How
think a
could
guy
you,
like
Age? How could you?
a guy like
How
Ben
could you have an
Mackay,
opinion on a podcast?
like for me, okay, yeah, he might not come any good, but I'll tell you now, Essendon will be willing to give him away. And at the very least, he might just sit in the twos and be a bit of a chop out footballer. But yeah, look, Peter Wright or Ben Mackay, I'd be happy with either of them.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Mackay, I'd probably say no. I'd even give a hard no for Mackay, but Peter Wright, I'm actually kind of okay with. Yeah, I just reckon that with yeah, like as you said, 200 centimeters. He's got that really difficult matchup as well, where he's really lanky, but he's also really strong. Like he's got the long arms, but he's also like a really tough like forward. And again, for a guy, as you said, to get him for pick, I think one of our picks is like 67 or something like that, or like 64 or something. I think we have two picks in the 60s. So to say that, yes, yeah. So basically, to get a guy like that around a pick in the 60s, he's going to impact straight away. Like we know that for a fact. The question I would then have is that for a guy that, if we're going to have a third round pick, what third round pick are we going to, or what kid are we going to get in the third round that is going to impact, even if it is for the next 24 months, what kid's going to impact more than someone like a Peter Wright? That's sort of how I would look at it.
Yeah,
Like Peter
I
Wright could
agree
be the difference
entirely.
between us winning the flag or not. And I know that might sound a bit sort of outlandish and out there, but again, if we're without him, if we put all of our if we basically get all of our stuff together and all that stuff, and say without him, is he worth say 3 goals, even maybe 4 goals on grand final day? He might be, especially if you back him in and go, mate, you are our guy, you are our full forward. And then he's got, McStay around him to support him. He's got a Charlie West that has another 12 months of pre-season and 12 months of development around him. You've also got our midfield, trying to kick it to him as well. It's not too bad of a club to come to if you're a forward. But then at the same time,
there's positions there. There's positions
yeah,
there for sure. And if you're probably already putting a line through Buller, not that they will, he's contracted, but it looks like he's definitely on the outer as it sits now. A guy like Membry, is he going to be there next year? M-Pod, I assume is going to get delisted. So there'll be forward line openings for sure. Just to go back to comments, Void, just to go back to the merit chat, he asks, what if we shipped off Houston and used our pick to land merit? No brainer for me, Void. If you were shipping out Houston to get merit, absolutely no brainer. You're talking about one guy who is going through the motions compared to a guy who's desperate to be part of either a premiership team or team success in general. Absolute no brainer for mine.
Yeah.
Also, so our friend who I spoke about before, Ruben Steve One, he said, so this is in reference to what I said to him. He said, fly, a flag, 2 preliminary finals, wild card now. Saints, Dons fans would kill for that. Fly's no clown, you bloody morons. Grow up, you losers. Yeah. I'll just
Also, as well,
reference what I
I just want to say real quick, what were the teams he referenced in that? It was Saints,
Saints and
Dons, and who
Dons.
else?
No,
Yeah,
that's it.
so
Saints and Dons.
yeah, well, that's literally all you have to mention is that he wants us like basically like if we're having to live our standards with those teams, then that just shows you where we're at as a football club.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
no, I want to be so much better than those teams.
yeah. Again, this is so Ruben, I respect that in Fly's tenure, he's okay. Every year bar one, technically, he's made finals, right? So that's great. Like in the history books, they're gonna look back and they're gonna say, wow, like that was a period of the club where they had great success, you know. However, I don't look back, I look forward. I look at a team like Footscray right now, and they're still holding on to a coach who won them a flag. It's been 10 years, right? And they're supporters. So in one of our Footscray versus Collingwood preview games, right? We had a Footscray supporter on, and he was a lovely fella. He's a comedian, one of Matt's friends, and he was very much in the sense that, oh, I don't care. We won a flag, and I thought I'd never see a flag, so I'm happy. That's great. If you are happy with that, if that's sort of what you're happy with for your club, that's great. I wish I was content with something like that. But I know a lot of guys that come on this channel and want to have discussions in this channels. That's not good enough. So just looking at passing, like for me, walking around saying, yeah, we won the flag in 23 does nothing for me. I'm just looking forward and what the next few years are going to bring and what gets us to premiership number 17, you know? Yep, you're right. Overall, Fly's tenure, you would give it a tick. Yes. However, this year's a big drop the ball. So he's contracted for the next 2 years. And next year is probably his most important year at the club. So look, I mean, names aren't going to hurt us. You just have a normal discussion. Tell us what your visions for the club are going forward, what you want to see from here, rather than just dissing us for having opinions. Would love you just to contribute properly rather than just name calling and whatnot. Good to see you here, Hotkey, as well, by the way. But look, what's next? It's Jesse Hogan, Sean. What do you think of Hogan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've sort of gone back and forth with him and Stringer, to be honest. And I mean, Stringer is the one that, in terms of performance, like it's pretty hard to, criticize him for his performances. When you kick 48 goals. And again, I'm just not, I'm just not sort of completely aware with how he's kicked his goals because I know that stats can be like misleading at times. But then again, when he kicked his like 7, it was against Freo. I think he also kicked a bag against somebody that was like a top 6 side. So again, those are the things that you sort of look at because I know that there are players who are in the league. I'm sure you guys even know that I talk about one of them on these channels. Where you can have some forwards that are very notorious for kicking a lot of goals in a season, but 85 to 90% of their goals are from the bottom 6 sides. So, yeah, I'm basically of the opinion that if you can get someone like a Stringer in, and if he is going to come in and impact and kick goals, then Yeah, I don't sort of like necessarily see a problem with it too much. Obviously, there is a lot of off-field baggage that we do have to take into consideration to a certain extent. So, unfortunately, we do have to take that into account because as my, you know what, even though I've said in the past like we have like a good culture, um, I do feel like we have a nice culture, but I don't know. I'm starting to even question if we have a good culture anymore. With everyone disagreeing with everyone becoming a yes man. I don't know if that's necessarily a good culture, but it is, I guess, a nice culture at the end of the day.
Would you? So this is the conundrum because when you miss out on a big fish, you got all these players on the periphery at their own clubs that are interested to come. So the big one's Jake Stringer, and I've never seen a more split sort of opinion on a guy like that. I'll kick it off. I'll just say if you're looking purely at football ability, it's a no-brainer. The
Yeah,
guy, absolutely no-brainer. However, now I'm going to be careful with what I say here. I don't think everyone knows what happened with Jake Stringer 10 years ago, and we won't speculate or insinuate what happened.
yeah,
However, I think a lot of people that are in the yes camp, if they knew what happened 10 years ago, I think they would immediately say no chance. You
yeah,
have to remember there is a reason why Jake Stringer has been at 3 clubs, now soon to be maybe 4 clubs. And there's an
yeah,
incident 10 years ago that happened, and the people in the yes camp, if they knew of that incident, they would run away from him, as
yeah.
3 clubs have already done.
Yeah. Yeah. But then, yeah, and there's, I think also just to also add another thing onto it too. You've even got players in our team currently right now, like a Bo McCreary and stuff, where when it comes to fly, like it's been known or not known, but we can make a pretty good assumption that fly has been very notorious for not putting players' feet to the fire. So with Stringer, like that sort of worries me in a sense because if he's not going to put someone like Bo's feet to the fire, how is he going to put Stringer's feet to the fire? If we need Stringer to lift and we need him to sort of get an extra 10% out of his game because we need him, and we're say down by 2 goals, like hey Stringer, we need 3 goals from you this quarter. What's going on? Um, is Fly going to be that coach, or are we going to be that club to sort of motivate him to get the best out of himself? Like, given that Fly and the club itself has been so passive with how we've been dealing with things of late, it does make you sort of question: Are we actually the right club for Stringer? Yeah, it sounds great on paper, but we know from a motivational point of view, that's a huge factor when it comes to Stringer playing well or not. So I sort of sit there and I sort of go, even if you take out things that he's done in the past, but if we just look at it from a football ability, can we go into let's just say it's a final, doesn't matter if it's a elimination prelim or whatever, but if we need him to have a quarter where he just goes berserk and goes nuts and kicks, say, 3 goals in a quarter, he can be the type to do it, but could he do it in a way where we actually need it? And is
Look,
Fly the one to look at the stringer and go, "Hey, mate, we need you. Like 3 goals this quarter, yeah, 3 goals."
I think he's capable. His abilities is capable. I just think it's the overall package is not worth it. Um,
Yeah,
I'll just reference something that where was it? I think it was Peter G. Oh yeah, Peter G. Here we are. To be fair, we are talking off-field baggage with Neil as well. That's not stopping me from wanting Neil though. Yep, Peter, perfectly understandable. However, I would consider like a marriage breakdown and that sort of stuff very different to what Jake Stringer's CV presents. I don't think you can compare those two. Everyone has marriage breakdowns and things like that. That's, obviously he's in the public eye and it's not great, and whatever happened there happened. However, that's that is nothing. That's insignificant compared to Stringer's baggage. I'll just say that. So
Yeah.
someone having a marriage breakdown, if that's going to be your, what do you call it? Like your yardstick for if a bloke's, any good for a culture or not. Half the blokes in the AFL wouldn't be playing. Like marriage breakdowns happen every day in all facets of life. But things that Jake Stringer's done are not things that happen in everyday life. Let's just say that.
Yep. Yeah. And then you've also got some of the rumors that were going on around him at Essendon for different reasons as well. So, yeah, I think the the off-field stuff is a genuine question that needs to be asked. Is it something we can overlook? Maybe, but it's again, it is a cultural issue, and is a player like that, yeah, you could get him through the door. Yeah, you can tell the players, hey, just ignore him. And then when it comes to game day, just kick it, on his chest. But again, it's like, yeah, that's probably the thing where you can go, well, do we really want that at the club where it's basically everyone's got to walk around eggshells? We talk about having a good culture. We talk about, wanting to be the best versions of ourselves. Like, that's sort of like where I sort of fall down when it comes to getting someone like Stringer. Yes, as a footballer, like you're not even questioning the acquisition from a football talent. It's more the off-field stuff that you're sort of questioning. And is it as much as we sit here and we go, "Oh, Stringer's had a 48 goal season," but is it right to get a guy like that when you might even have players in our best 23 that might feel uncomfortable given with what Stringer has done in the past? It might affect their form, so they might kick less goals or have less disposals or less spoils or marks, whatever. But as much as we go, oh, awesome, Stringer's gonna, he's kicked 48 goals. He's going to come into our side and he's going to kick another 48 goals. That doesn't always happen, right? So that's also another aspect that we gotta think of is that it's not what String also does; it's what other players do around him as well too.
Yeah. Look, if the club is going to go to all the players and ask them, look, all these players know about each other and whatnot. If the players, the senior core of Collingwood, especially Nick, actually, I should just say Nick, if the next phase of our list is happy with having String at the club, I would say, yep, okay. If the players are comfortable with it, so be it. We can live with it. However, again, when there's a guy that's just been tipped out of his third club, it's just one of those things. And that's the same with Hogan too. He'll be tipped out of his third club as well. So, sometimes the scraps look good on paper, but there's always deeper things to consider, The only other guy obviously is Lachie Neale, Sean. Are you concerned that maybe that's gonna fall through now, or are you pretty confident that that's done and dusted?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that's done and dusted. I like to think I normally have the theory when it comes to these things is that if things tend to go quiet, it normally means that whatever was last reported, it just means that there was just no new information. And the fact that and I don't sort of put too much I don't put too much value in the whole West Coast stuff. So I would sort of say everything, and the West Coast stuff, it only really came from one place, at least to my knowledge. So yeah, I'd be looking at that as pretty much like a dead giveaway that we're probably going to be getting Neil at this point. Whether if that's the right move or not, we'll tend to find out. And yeah, we'll sort of go from there. But yeah, I sort of see this as a foregone conclusion. I mean, mind you, not that not that it's confirmed or anything. Got to put that out there. But yeah, I just think that yeah, he's definitely gonna. But I do think I'm pretty confident in saying that he'll be at Collingwood next year.
Yeah. And to be fair, his form is like we saw him firsthand the other night, I don't think he's going to come to the Pies and start stinking it up. I think he's still definitely got another, at the very least, two years of high quality football in him. So provided he's coming for the right reasons and whatnot, I think, for a stopgap, well, actually, he's more than a stopgap. He's still an absolute gun. But yeah, I think that'll be a great acquisition and a guy that, he probably just needs that fresh start as well. But yeah, again, like I said, it's a marriage breakdown and things like that's very different to, other things that float around and whatnot. And outside of, Lachie Neale's relationship status, whatever it may be, on the field, it's been 10 plus years of consistent great performance. So, I think he would be a perfect fit for us. And look, if we get nothing else other than Neale and then go to the draft, I would honestly be content with that. But I still feel like we've got an ace up our sleeve. We've seen in the past, Lachie Schultz we didn't know of until, minutes before bloody, like it was halfway through the trade period almost, we didn't even hear about him. Dan Houston, same thing. It was like, we were third in line in the end and he's played like it, but we didn't even know like he was ever coming to the Pies until the trade period essentially started. So look, you never know. There could be a guy that pops up out of nowhere and we're like, ooh, here we go. But again, It all comes back to we've got the salary cap space. Fly has made it very public. He said it in interviews that, we've got cap space and we're willing to spend it. So the messaging, if the messaging is anything to go by, there's clearly a plan behind the scenes. And they might already have a player lined up from somewhere that we don't even know of that, that they might target and might come out of nowhere, Because, again, it references what I was saying before. We do need to get better. We can't stand still with the list the current crop is in. So the two options are top up and take your 3 or 4 picks of the draft and trust O'Brien again, or just blow every pick and everything just to bloody chase a player or two. I would much prefer go down the free agency path and go to the draft and back in O'Brien to again find another 1 or 2. Again, a lot of these guys are going to come cheap in terms of capital. So, look, the only one I could see going forward out of that crop we just spoke about before is probably like your Hogan. I think he's the guy that, okay, gets the body right. Yeah, maybe he fills a gap for a year or two. But again, I hope they do that, knowing that you see off a memory and, yeah, you keep playing Charlie West. I don't want to bring in a Hogan and see Charlie West in the 2s next year. Put it that way. I would, I would much prefer just to go down the path of playing your Charlie West, moving on to Tim Embry, moving on an M-Pod, making Buller have to absolutely earn his spot in the 2s to get back in there, rather than just bring in a Hogan and keep all those guys and Charlie West just goes further down the pecking order. I don't think that helps us long term at all. Might help us for a year, but long term it's going to do nothing for us. So, yep. I don't know. I'm half expecting a name to pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I'm sort of so big on the Riccardi one, because it's a player that I'd really want to go get. But I think the biggest advocate that I think we have in terms of it happening is that, yeah, exactly. Like we always seem to get a guy in the trade period, and like he doesn't become someone that's coming to Collingwood till the last minute. And I think Riccardi would be a really good player at that point. Like Neale seems like he's going to be there, but we'll wait and see. Yeah, Riccardi just seems like he'd be such a good fit. Yeah, I'm just really I'd be really interested to know when Barry Perry comes and if he signs, or if he doesn't sign. Like, yeah, does he leave? Do Collingwood pick him up? Yeah, I'll be really interested to know about that.
We have a new friend in here, do we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do. Lucas, you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Adrian and Sean? How we doing?
Doing all right? You just woke up or something? Like, what's going
No,
on?
no, no, no. No, I've been all right. I've been good. I've been good.
Now,
Uh,
Yeah, so what's
Lucas,
your overall thoughts on what we've been speaking about?
I'm going to put this out there, and I'm serious about this. Would you guys go after a Heaney?
Probably not Heaney. Like, Heaney would have to come pretty cheap for me to be entertained by the offer.
You probably would get him cheap.
Would he come to us for a third rounder?
He probably, well, if Sydney don't want it, if Sydney want to trade him, then he's got no choice but to leave. But I reckon you could get Heaney pretty cheaply. I think he's caused too much damage. He's on the point of no return. I reckon he'd be available.
see, the thing with an Isaac Heaney is, yeah, he might come cheap, but I reckon there'd be 13 other clubs that would dip their hat in the ring for an Isaac Heaney if he became available. So, yeah. Look, would I want him? Yeah, probably. But again, we don't actually know what's happened there. I think this stuff all needs to get cleared up pretty quick, where there's either charges laid or they're just acquitted and we all move on. I think you can't even contemplate trading a guy in like that until all the water's gone under the bridge, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just look again. I'm big on culture. I'm huge on culture. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Again, if it was just football, like I said, if I'm just putting together a country football team and I don't give a fuck about like if this guy's bloody been in jail or this guy, whatever. I don't give a shit. But when you're talking the professional environment, I think culture is massive. So you need to protect that at all costs. And look, let's see what happens with Heaney. The one I'd be targeting is Blakey, but again, the same thing.
Yeah.
Same situation. Need to let everything play out there and make sure that everything's above board and whatnot, because we just don't know. This could drag on for months and months and months,
Yeah, because I mean, for me personally, I mean, I wouldn't even be sleeping on Goulden as well. Goulden would be one that I'd be looking at pretty heavily, especially because I think our wing stocks, I don't think it's as good as what we think it is. Especially when you're looking at, potentially like moving forward. If Sidey retires, you've got Lipinski, you might have Swaddling on the other wing. And then after that, you've got maybe like a Roan Steele. Could maybe throw Perryman in there. But I think I just feel like that we probably need to go and target a wingman, whether if that is someone like Goulden. Okay, was he not there? Okay, well there you go. Well then who was the player's name there? I could have sworn Goulden was in it.
No, the three main ones were Warner, Heaney, and Blakey.
Yeah. And Vice
Okay, well
as
then
well.
yeah, definitely. And like, why was Goulden up there?
Gordon was never. No, he was never. No, Gordon played last week. No.
Don't worry.
Okay.
If all those guys end up getting shipped off, don't worry. Goulden will be getting paid $2 million plus. They'll renegotiate his contract. He won't be going
he's
anywhere,
a free.
mate.
I think he's a free agent as well next year, Gordon. So there you go.
He's very close to going to Carlton. He's very close to going to Carlton, Goulden. So yeah, look, who knows? Who knows with a guy like that? He might have interest to come back to Victoria. But again, look, like I said, what we've been speaking about in this stream, right now, Carlton is a more attractive option as a club to go to than Collingwood. As we sit right here, right now, Carlton is a more attractive proposition. So, you know, we've got to turn that around if we want to get in the face of some of these free agents. You know, that's just the reality of the situation. So, yeah.
Well, that's probably down to your coach, Adrian.
Oh, don't get me started again, Lucas. Don't get me started again. If you had the first hour.
No, I didn't. No, I was doing my own show with Kiri. No, I haven't heard the first hour. But please elaborate. Please tell me.
Oh, no. I'm not reheating the soup, mate. You can go back and listen. But let's just say that, look, I will say one thing. Now, I never thought we would get Butters. I even said, if we get Butters, I would eat my hat live on stream. However, the fact that the same day he told Port Adelaide that he was leaving is the same day that he said he wasn't, like Collingwood out of the race, is crazy, mate. That just shows you that we were never in the picture, right?
Yeah.
We weren't even. It was just, you know, either hearing us out, just, you know, to be nice or whatnot, or just to keep enough shade on the situation that, you know, it's not just him dealing with one club and it becomes pretty easy to figure out, you know. But the same day he tells Port that he's leaving is the same day that he says no to Collingwood.
Yeah. Yeah. He was never going. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that just. It was almost too excited to come out and say that he's not going to go to Collingwood. So, so it's down to 3. I still think Richmond for me.
Well, see, the thing is, Richmond have got the most to offer in terms of capital. However, Collingwood was second in terms of capital by all reports.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not motivated by money, mate. Maybe it's generally just wherever he wants to go. So,
well, it's interesting that he just rules out Collingwood straight off the bat, but he doesn't do it for Richmond. Like, if he said to me he was going to rule out one team, I would have thought it would have been either Footscray or Richmond. But to rule out Collingwood like that and not Richmond, that's a bit, you know, that's a bit disappointing or interesting. So I think he's heavily raving up Richmond.
It just shows you where we're at as a club, Lucas.
Yeah.
We're not attractive, you know. We're not an attractive proposition. We're attracting these guys like your Hogans and your Stringers that are going to get tipped out by their own clubs. We're not attracting, you know, the prime real estate, so to speak. So, you know.
Do you even want Stringer?
No, I don't. I don't at all.
No, I haven't heard one. I've heard the odd Collingwood fan on social media, but the majority don't want him.
Yeah, look, there's people that look at the pure football ability, and it's a no-brainer for the football ability. But there's the baggage that comes with the Jake Stringer that makes it an unattractive proposition for me. So, look, that's just the reality of the situation. But again, you're a club like yours, you're playing with the big boys and the big free agents, and we're you know, going through the scraps. We're like going through, you know, the op shop while you're bloody shopping at Gucci, you know. It's just that tells me there's something fundamentally happening behind the scenes that we can't attract this talent. And a lot of people say they don't want the pressure of coming to Collingwood and whatnot. No. There's more. It's got to be deeper than that. It can't just be too big a club, too much scrutiny. No, I don't cop that. There has to be other things that are going on.
Yeah, especially when the narrative is the fact that he wants to like be the face of a team. If the narrative is that he wants to run his own team and stuff, well then, yeah, that means he obviously wants the pressure rather than wanting to hide away from it, you know?
Well, I would have thought you're playing AFL football. There's going to be pressure no matter where you go and what you do. And if anything, there'd be less pressure coming to Collingwood because you're not the number one guy. there'd be more pressure going to another team like a Richmond, where you're going to be the number one bloody guy, even Geelong, you've got Bailey Smith and you've got Jeremy Cameron and even Max Holmes. You've got absolute quality footballers there, but you step into Geelong and you're going to be expected, the pressure's on. You're going to be expected to be the number one guy, Collingwood's really the only club out of those, and maybe Footscray with Bontempelli, but they're the only teams really where you're not going to be expected to do absolutely everything. So for me, the pressure might actually be lower at Collingwood than it might be at a Geelong or a Richmond. So, yep, again, I think you need to look a bit deeper. I think there's something else going on there that, just doesn't really add up for me. But again, we already sort of spoke about all that. Lucas is gone, I've just noticed.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on PDG's comment about the captaincy as well. I feel like that's also going to play a factor too. Maybe he does want his own team and he wants to captain it. So if Richmond's offering him the captaincy, a ton of money, maybe they've got like a setup where they're going to treat him like royalty. So basically, the king at Richmond, maybe he wants that.
Yeah. You never know. It could have been something that's part of the negotiations. Yep, for sure.
I'm just trying to look at the comments. Yeah, that's the other thing too from Kieran as well. Geelong will get him. They hardly ever miss the targets they want. Yeah, well, history says you're not wrong there.
That's spot
Yeah,
on.
it sort of feels like if they want someone, they get someone.
That's spot on. You just need to look at the list. We can work backwards, Bailey Smith, got him for decent value, didn't have to overpay for him, decent value. Patrick Dangerfield, yep, okay, they gave a fair bit for him, but was close to the best player in the game at the time, or one of the rising stars from Adelaide coming across to Geelong. Jeremy Cameron, just absolute generational talent that they're able to secure. You're talking three of the best 10 acquisitions of the last 10, 15 years have all gone to Geelong. So, they're obviously doing something that we're not doing. And that's just the reality of the situation. We end up paying more than a lot of these clubs have for B+ footballers, right? So there is, I refuse to believe it's the pressure and whatnot. There's something else that is happening that these players don't want to come. I'm convinced. So again, for Zach Butters to just straight away be like, nope, to us is more than just pressure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just seeing Void's comment as well too. I think this also plays a bit of a factor. I feel like Collingwood were only going to get him if Port weren't going to match the trade. So if they were just to not match and he would just go as an unrestricted free agent, I think Collingwood maybe might have been hoping on that. And the fact that he's not going to go, he's not going to go as a unrestricted, and that there is the Port are going to match. Maybe that's sort of why we sort of were automatically out of the race. So maybe it wasn't necessarily Collingwood's no good. We just weren't willing to give up anything that wasn't just cash. So that could be potentially a factor.
Look, it definitely would play a part. I've no doubt. But yeah, again, these are the situations where you just want to know what's happened. That's pretty much all it comes down to. I just want to know. I'm eager to know. But yeah, I just want the club to be better. And yeah, we just don't attract this talent, and it's starting to get a bit frustrating because we've got cap room now, and we still can't manage to get these guys. And look, even the Ben King thing. Look, okay, if you believe reports, we pulled out of that race. Okay, I sort of don't know about that. I don't know why you'd be targeting him for 2 years and then all of a sudden we pull out of the race. It just doesn't add up for me. You know.
Yeah, well, it's basically the basically like what they do in business. It's like, oh, well, you can either pull out of the race or you can basically get. It's more of a perception thing, and it's it's like with the candidates. I mean, I'm not a political person by any stretch, but like when you have political candidates, like they'll always pull out of the race before they actually lose the race because it's just to like save face, but really it just I mean to me every time I look at that I always just look at it as you knew you were gonna lose. Like I'd rather you fully commit and actually be deemed a loser than to basically like quit last minute just so that you weren't confirmed as a loser. If that like in the race, if that makes any sense. So maybe that could be it.
Yeah. I'm sure they would have had intel that he was never going to choose us, and something happened there, and they said, "No, let's move on to other things." I'm sure that was the case. So they got ahead of the pack and said, "No, we're not interested anymore." However, yeah, I don't believe you'd pull interest after having interest in him for 2 years, and then just pull interest. I first heard about Ben King like 2 years ago that we would.
Yeah.
Starting to get in his ear and starting to talk about coming back and whatnot, But again, this is just a long list. This is a long list. This is Tom Lynch at Richmond, down to last three, and we get overlooked. Jeremy Cameron, his options were always Geelong or Collingwood. The only other club he spoke to other than Geelong was Collingwood, and he chose Geelong, There is just a long list of the high-end guys that we just cannot land, all right? And there has to be something deeper than just we're this big, powerful fucking club with all the pressure. I am guaranteed.
No, agreed.
But that's it. Just if that's the case, let's go to the draft. Prioritize the draft. Get Shane O'Brien to work some magic. I'd rather that than burn first round picks on B+ footballers. That's all it comes down to, So, but yeah.
Yeah. Boyd says, but I'm tipping it's driven by Butters, who demands Port get taken care of in a trade. Butters likely didn't get that. They'd only get compo with us. Yeah, that's actually a good point too. Well, I mean, Butters has come out and said that he wanted Port to get looked after, and the fact that outside of us just paying for his contract, we weren't willing to give up any trade capital. So, no, I think whether if it plays all of the factor or some of the factor, I think that plays a factor. How much, who knows? But I think that's also part of it too.
Absolutely. I'm sure that plays a part. Butters he's that guy. He would like them to get looked after. I 100% appreciate that. But yeah, again, it just seems like I reckon we would have given up enough if he chose us. I think we would have. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think you chase a player and offer him that much money, and then he chooses you, and then you sort of can't get the deal done. I think that doesn't make sense. So yeah. Again, usually if you put your hat in the ring and you offer a player a contract, it means that you're willing to trade in good faith, But you're right.
Yeah.
In terms of the trading position, we're probably the weakest of the lot. That's probably fair. But again, Footscray don't really have much to offer either, So yeah, I don't know. Just to me, I would love to know the backstory. That's all it comes down to, and we'll never know and whatnot. But yeah.
See if that comment that the last guy posted about Butters looking after his team, if that's true, Footscray would be the last place because they have nothing for Port Adelaide, absolute nothing. What if it was up to Port? They'd keep him, but if it was up to Port, they'd trade him to Richmond because Richmond have the number 2 pick. So Port would say, "Here you go, here's Butters." Richmond would be stupid enough to give him that pick, and that is easy as you've done 1, 2, 3. So I don't believe necessarily that that's probably true with Collingwood, because you'd want as many people to bid for you as possible. So let's say if Butters said, you know what, I'm going to go to Victoria, but I'm not going to nominate a club. I just want to get to Victoria. Richmond say, here's pick 2. So Collingwood, Geelong, Footscray would have to compete with pick 2. So you would need to put out something that is equal or more value than pick number 2. So I don't think that was true. Also, second point I want to make is that what's Nick Dacos been saying? Because Nick Dacos is the one that met with Butters. Now I know this isn't the Tin Hat Foil show, Matt, and I know Matt's in here, but Matt, maybe Butters said, "Well, do you really want to play with this guy, coach this guy? He's an idiot, you know." Maybe Dacos said something like that, and really tarnished Butters' decision because it's on the coach. So we don't know what Nick has said or anyone has said from Collingwood to Butters to persuade him to saying no.
Well, that's probably probably more to Houston than it is Dacos,
Yeah.
because Houston's actually a former teammate.
Yes.
I would imagine Butters would have some respect for Houston,
Of course. Yeah.
given that he was an All-Australian under his watch. Yeah. So I reckon that definitely plays a factor for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because Houston could be saying, "Oh well, I'm not playing my best footy under here. He's got me playing in a wrong position, blah blah blah." You don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Now, no player is going to sabotage the club. No player at all, unless they really hate the club and they want to get out of it. But you just don't know. You just don't know what they're saying to him. So he's met, like as Adrian said, he's met with other clubs and so far, like Collingwood, he was like, "Bang, yeah, you're the first one to go." On the same as Adrian mentioned, the same day that he's leaving Port Adelaide. So you don't know what they've been saying to him. You don't know how it went well and if it went bad or whatnot. Because if you remember, Josh Carr had a go at Collingwood for meeting with Zach Butters.
Yep.
And Josh Carr was the only one that really had a go at a team. Like he met with Geelong, he met with Collingwood, met with Footscray, and met with Richmond. But when he met with Collingwood, that's when Josh Carr lost a little bit. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. But yeah, I think Butters wants to look after Port. And as Adrian said, that's admirable. We get all that. But if he really wanted to look after Port Adelaide, he would have said no. He would have kept Collingwood in as much as he could. And if he wants to really look after Port Adelaide, he'll go to Richmond. Footscray would be the last place he'd want to go if you want to look after Port Adelaide, because they've got nothing. They've got absolutely nothing of value. They've got no young players that have played in their team this year. They've got no SA talent, which Port want. So yeah, that would be the worst place Port would want him to go to.
Yeah. Also, just to touch on, I think it was Void that put in the comments. Only there's a potential of Tim English going to another club. I mean, for a club that needs a stopgap for Steen next year, surely that's a player we look at. Depending on what draft capital that is.
Yeah, I don't. There wouldn't be any of a Port. Tim English is a good player, good ruckman. But Port would have no use for him. They've got about 4 rucks, and they've put a lot of time into Sweet and Vincentini.
I'm saying for English at Collingwood, unless if he's destined to go to South Australia.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, fair enough with that one, yeah.
Because we definitely need a stopgap. But I mean, Tim English is more than a stopgap. So if we could even get him in the off season, that'd be pretty good. But then again, what would his trade value be? Because I don't know if I would want to trade a first round pick for him.
For who?
Am I wrong in that for English? Because he's a ruckman.
Oh, he's a good ruckman though. He's a good ruckman. He's one of the better ruckmen.
No,
he's not Grundy.
Would you trade a first rounder for him though? I'd be more comfortable with the second.
Yeah, if he was a late first rounder, you would. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not Jackson Gawn and that, but he's in the second tier. I'd put him in the second tier.
You know what I'd do is there a St Kilda player going to the Dogs? Because I do a 3-way trade with St Kilda. We get English, they get St Kilda get Houston, and then Dogs get whatever St Kilda give them.
Wilkie could go to the Dogs. There's been talk of that.
Hey, there you go.
Bulldogs need a.
Have we just unlocked something there? I know it's not going to be that simple. It's the last 3-way trade was just involved players was I think over 10 years ago when we got Varco, and I think when you guys got oh fuck, what's his name? Mitch Clark? Is that his name?
Yeah. Yes,
Harry O'Brien went to Melbourne. That was the last 3-way trade where it was just players.
That turned out
that happened.
Yeah, that didn't work out well for us though. Mitch Clark was a bit of a scrub for us.
One of the rare ones Geelong got wrong.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was the last time they got something wrong. That was
Yeah.
like 10 years ago.
Gentlemen, sorry to interrupt, but I will be calling it a night. I've got work early in the morning, but I'll be listening in and I'll be in chat. So thank you and good night all.
Good night, Adrian. Keep doing those Collingwood and cricket videos, mate. You're doing well.
I don't know about you, but I'm having a bit of an interesting night. I reckon I've had about 5 6 power hours. Thank God I'm streaming on my phone.
Oh, gee. No, I'm doing well. I'm doing all right. I've got my late night stream tonight, so you guys can hop on. If you're listening, you can hop onto my late night stream. See who's around.
Are you doing one later on after this?
Yeah, I'll do one later on after this.
So I might actually head off then if that's all right. You can get your stream started.
Yeah, if you wanna head off, if you wanna pop over to my stream, you're more than welcome. I know Mix just popped into or was that Chris? They both have the same profile photo. I'm guessing it's Chris.
Popped in, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Matt, if you wanna hop in and just let us know what you want to do, happy to hop off and we can
just give us 5 minutes, Sean, for Lucas. Are you a mod?
Yeah, yes.
Do you just put the link to your stream in the chat?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So that everyone, because there's probably 20 people who don't know your channel. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, how are we going in the chat? See if we can read off some comments. Yeah, I'd be curious to know with Butters getting the captaincy from Richmond. I wonder how much that's also playing some form of a.
Yep, there you go. I've just posted it.
Yep.
That's the Matt's name says mobile.
All right. Yeah, so are you ready to go, Lucas, in terms of your stream?
Just give me can you stay on here for just a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I can stay on. If you're going to go, Sean, I'll stay on.
No, yeah, I can be on for a few more minutes yet.
Okay. I'm gonna leave just to do some things backstage, and then I'm gonna give you the thumbs up in the chat, and then you can like do what you want with the stream.
All
Okay.
right, awesome. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, Void goes. Out of all of the three other clubs, Butters can become the new captain, but not at Collingwood. Who's the third one? So you got Richmond, Geelong. Who's the other team? Is it Bulldogs? Do we know who the other team could be?
No, it'd only be Richmond. It'd only be Richmond. Geelong, I don't think so. I don't think Dogs either.
He could be the captain at Geelong. Geelong don't have a ton of leadership. Just trying to work out what the other club was.
It's only three. It's only Richmond, Dogs, and Richmond. Richmond, Geelong, and Dogs. That's it.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's Dogs.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I'd actually agree with that. I think he could be captain at either of the clubs actually. Now that I think about it. Chris, do you have any questions for the stream at all?
Well, yeah. Are you a fan of getting Stringer?
Yeah, we discussed this previously in the stream. In terms of football ability, I'm happy to have him. Just think that he's going to be a bit of a. It's going to be interesting to see how we handle him outside of that, though. No,
I wasn't
hopefully he
happy.
comes in and plays well if he turns up, and yeah, we'll see how that works out if we get him.
Look, I think Butters is going to Geelong. I was sort of disappointed today that we didn't get him, but it's the way it is. I think he's going to Geelong. I think he's going there for sure.
Yep. Yeah. And is there any players out there, Chris, that are realistic that you would like to get a Collingwood?
Well, of course, I want Lockie Neal. Look, I wouldn't mind Stringer, only if like he was good against Adelaide. I wouldn't if we can get the Stringer to play for Essendon. I would mind that. I wouldn't look. I want Ballard because I think our defence is sort of suspect. Look, I would rather Stringer over Hogan. I want Stringer over Hogan. Wouldn't mind Riccardi, but it looks like he's staying in a GWS. There are players, but who knows who we can get? Who knows?
Yeah. Is there so if you were to, maybe pick out a player in the AFL that's maybe not linked to us, what type of player do you think we would desperately need if you were a list manager?
Defender. We need a key defender. I looked at offence against Brisbane. We need defender. And my number one, I would go for Ballard. I like him a lot from Gold Coast. I want him bad.
Yep. So what are some of the strengths that Ballard has, you reckon, that we could utilise?
He's got a great kick. He's a great defender. I watch him at Gold Coast. He's a great defender. He's got great kicking. He's good at finding his targets, and I think we need that. I think we need to get him, and I think just give him a third or fourth round pick, and he comes to Collingwood.
Yeah, well, that's probably another thing too, is that he'll definitely come cheap from a trade perspective. So, yeah, if we're wanting to keep our first and second round picks, that would be a good option for sure.
Mm.
All right, that's I think we just got a comment from Lucas that he's all good to go. All right, guys, pretty sure you guys have got the link to his stream. Chris, is there any final thoughts that you want to say, or are you all good to go and we'll all go hop in Lucas's stream?
I'm all to go. I'm all ready to go. I'll go. Yeah, I'm all ready to go.
All right, well, with all that, we will finish up. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the stream. Hopefully you get around both channels of The Warble and obviously my channel, Ultimate Greatness. And make sure to like and subscribe. We're definitely going to be sticking around doing more streams as we're sure things will only get more hotter as we get more into the off season and into trade period and into finals. So yeah, we'll cover everything that we can as much as we can. And yeah, with that said, we will now finish off the night. We'll have another stream with Lucas, and yeah, we'll go hop in that. And yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the other stream. All right, thanks guys. Go Pies.
Go Pies.
Go Pies.